Hello.
Hey! What is up, everybody and every peoples? Welcome to episode 17, right? Of 18?
Something crazy.
What is it?
17, right? 17?
Yeah, probably 17.
That's pretty.
Legends of Avantris. I guess we'll just start by going around the table. I guess we're 6 of us now. 6 nerds that embarrass ourselves for your entertainment. Unfortunately, Derek, our guest player, after 5 great sessions,
No longer a guest.
No longer a guest.
Is now dead.
A guest is obviously by definition temporary and bittersweet to see him go. We are playing a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition campaign in the homebrew setting of Avantris. We use mostly rules as written, but a good amount of homebrew, a lot of 4th edition elements incorporating things like combat and the like, and then obviously some rules as fun, rules as intended. This is a mature audience stream. We curse a lot and have mature themes. So
It's not that mature.
Oh,
it's pretty mature. It's like an HBO original series.
It's pretty immature.
That's how
It's
mature.
pretty hot.
That's how mature it is.
Mature.
And so I think that's all the housekeeping biz that we need to do. So with that, we'll go around the table, and we're just going to do brief character introductions, cutting it down. If you're watching, you've probably seen and you probably know everyone's business. If not, feel free to check out our other episodes. So first we have Richie, who's playing Rodex Stonehearth, a mountain dwarf battlemaster fighter.
I never knew.
We then have Ganty Stormscale, played by Scotes here. He is a bronze dragonborn war cleric of Bahamut. We then have Sylvie Flickerwicket, played by Nikki here. She is a forest gnome arc-fae warlock of Titania, the Titania variety. We then have Annulin Mossgrove, played by Kelsey, down there in the little Skype window. She is a wood elf ranger, a hunter ranger. And finally, we have Vandris Truestrike, played by Andy. He is a swashbuckler rogue.
High elf.
A high elf.
Yeah.
High elf. That's
Can't
what he
forget
is.
that. It's not
Can't
on
forget.
screen.
Yes, you're right. It's not on screen. A high elf swashbuckler rogue. And I guess we'll just dive right in because we're starting a little bit late. What happened last time? What did happen last time? It's been 2 weeks, but it's pretty unforgettable session. You guys
solved your water temple puzzle.
Yeah, after solving my water temple puzzles, I was really proud of you guys, and really
Fucking water temple.
skipping on a lot of potential combat, playing it really smart. You guys had a lot more resources going into what was effectively a boss fight. Well, it was a boss fight. You discovered that Orpheus and Deirdre were on a stone pyramid, on top of which rested a massive skull, black dragon skull, which you learn was the skull of Bak Rugul, the black dragon that had been sacrificed for some dark power. Before you could go in and stop them, Deirdre struck the trident into the skull, opening a portal, and called forth this horrific, enormous creature with 3 black eyes into the water called the Primeval One. And she made some vague comments to drowning the world and restoring an empire.
So we should write this down.
Wreaking vengeance on the gods.
And then we murdered the shit.
Et cetera. And they all had horrific visions, each custom to them, which terrified, I think, a lot of them, maybe most of them, and maybe all of them.
Maybe all of them.
And
I would hazard
realizing that he had been betrayed, Orpheus blasted Deirdre in the face with a fireball, and while she was basically horribly scarred, she sacrificed her body and her flesh, and basically the whole world to Umberly, granting her some crazy ascension magic power. She turned into a big old giant water snake monster type biz. Huge boss fight, like a 3-hour boss fight, 2.5-hour boss fight ensued.
Could have been a TPK.
Could have been a TPK. A little bit of loosey-goosiness with the rules kind of helped save the day. That was fine.
Not even close.
Not even close, baby. And I swear to God I didn't fudge this. Matthias got a natural 20 for the last hit of the fight, exacting his vengeance on Deirdre. His cutlass exploded. Big shadow creature silhouette emerges, reveals himself to be
Whose name is
you don't know.
Damn it! Almost got it.
Whose name is ... some creature in the shadows that beckoned Matthias. He had you got the idea that he had made a deal with Matthias. He resurrected him, gave him his crew, or resurrected his his ship, to seek out Deidre in order to harvest an incredibly treacherous soul. That was the magical properties, and a soul that powerful was of a lot of value to this creature. They returned to a place called Nessus, and Matthias disappeared into the shadow along with this silhouette creature. And then, not before, the creature bestowed upon each of the party members a special daily power.
a creepy power.
A creepy Boughs' land.
Creepy Boughs' land.
Power. And then disappeared. And then we'll just say we're starting the session inside the area where you fought Deidre, just in case there was anything else you wanted to do, because we kind of wrapped up quickly because it had been such a long boss fight. It was late. It was a long boss.
And where did you guys message us those special abilities?
We didn't, because we
I thought you
are
sent
the
pictures.
worst.
I could have sworn I saw.
I sent pictures.
Oh, you did, great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
Was it in? Do you
It's in
remember which
Facebook.
channel?
It's in Roxfall.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
I can send another one, or Richie can. I can hand them to him. He can send them.
I have them. Yeah, I'll send them. We can continue. I can send
I
them.
just haven't copied
powers.
into my character sheet yet.
Yeah, and I have them here too.
So, I guess I don't think there's anything else I missed. So, as it stands, you all are on a stable bit of platform, we'll say. Ganji's been recasting Waterwalk every 20 minutes or whatever he needs to be doing. You are on some stable ground, basically recovering from that brutal fight and kind of reeling with what had just happened, the horrific visions that you saw, the portal that was opened up, Orpheus mentioning his plan B in a volcano lair, a whole lot of things, plus Matthias going away, the horrible creature, the creature in the shadows mentioning Alphonse drinking from a cup of some variety, and that he had some connection to Alphonse as well as Matthias. And with that, what do you guys want to do?
Before we start,
Yes.
welcome back, West Coast. I've missed your bands.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Wait,
You
how do we
crack
do
me
this?
up. I don't think you should be doing that.
Yeah, that's not shit. Flash and gain signs, man.
Oh,
You don't do
Jesus.
that on screen.
What are you doing over there, Mike?
A stray bullet comes in the basement.
Annula
And
knocks
hit-
her bow.
Hey, Rabbit.
Hey, Rabbit.
Welcome back.
Welcome,
Good to
everybody.
see you.
Good to see you guys.
But yeah, I just want to give a
Leave the
shout
vibe.
out to, we've noticed you were gone. At least I have.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We missed
the
everybody.
beginning of the episode and the end of the episode, that's the important stuff. The
Yeah.
rest of the 2.5 hours, we're just...
Take a long poop for the middle part.
It's
Yeah.
long, the longest poop of your life.
I went like this to say long poop. How do we put that this is an 18 plus stream, by the way?
We don't do that.
Okay.
That's
We'll
not-
We've already
It's
said
an
it.
There's a way to
18
do
plus
that in
stream.
Twitch, though.
There
You
is,
have to
yeah.
click OK to say, hey, yes, I am acknowledge I'm in an 18 plus.
Yeah.
We
Because
don't
most
get-
D&D streams have to do
We
that.
don't get that obscene. I think...
You never know.
Okay.
Regardless, I wanted to do that.
Back into the world of events.
Into the world.
So,
So we're starting.
So we're
starting!
We're in the actual temple.
You are
we
in
haven't
the
started
temple.
walking out yet.
You're in the temple. If you guys want to do some more looking around or whatever, we kind of
Okay.
fast forwarded everything.
Oh, I
You
thought
guys-
you were saying that we did that and then we were gonna start at the Cave of the Mouth.
No, I think that, like, given how everything rushed and
Okay.
everything was, I feel like if you guys want to talk about anything or whatever after it happened, or like do a little bit of more exploration or investigating that you guys didn't really do, because I think you guys just investigated like literally just like the ruin trident and stuff, and that was it. So
Yeah.
just giving you more time because we were so.
And just in case the DM forgot, I did put some of the bone dust of Bakragul in everyone's bag of wits.
I did forget. So thank you for.
Don't think it's important, but just want to make sure.
Now our-
it is.
Now our wits are extra OP.
Yeah, and now it's dust
OP
and
wits.
bone dust. Or sand and bone dust.
I need to get in the character here.
It's been 2 weeks.
I
Gotta
know, it's been too
shake
long.
off the
Yeah.
rust. Oh, that was pretty creepy. Does anyone else feel this weird sense of, like, creepy energy in, like, the pit of their stomach?
Yeah,
I'm very concerned about that being saying that it wouldn't be the last we saw of him.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, considering that, like, he brought a friend back to life, and he can make ships that dragon turtles can't eat, and, like, I don't know, it seemed kind of cool to me.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
He did bring Matthias back, and Matthias ended up being a valuable ally. So,
Yeah.
I suppose he's not all bad, whatever he was.
And, well, we will die eventually, so we will see him again at some point.
What does that mean?
Are
you gonna invite him to my funeral?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be
That's fine.
it's going to be a very nice,
When you send him the
very
invitation,
tasteful.
when you send him the invitation, can you ask him to bring Matthias with him too?
Oh, I was going to tattoo the invitation on Matthias.
But how are we gonna get to Matthias if he's with him?
Magic.
D&D
Oh.
Moonlight has a
Cast
tattoo. So do we know canonically that guy was from hell? Was a devil or anything?
I think Ganji.
Ganji got the idea that he was from hell.
Okay.
That he was from Boughs, the Nine Hells.
So are they all inherently evil? Is that kind of their thing?
It deals with them, and stuff from them never is. You don't get anything from them for free. Is what I know.
So I guess my question is: did we help a bad person by helping Matthias?
It's not. I don't think it's that
I don't
simple.
think that Matthias is a bad person, and I also, I mean, I guess I don't know much about hell or the things in it, but it's not like we made any kind of deals with him, right? Like,
Right.
he didn't ask us to do anything, and we were gonna kill Deandra anyway, because she's a bitch. Or was, because she's dead now. I got her. So, I don't know. I don't think that we're in really any trouble.
No, I my conscience is fairly clear, but I'm not going to be. If say the sickening pit in our feeling happened to be a daily power, I don't think I'm going to be using it until I figure out more about it.
Yeah.
It does feel like power of some kind, doesn't it?
So, speaking of that, I wanted to bring up something a little uncomfortable. Did you guys, any of you see your future or anything? Just for a second, not that would happen, but, if future scene could happen. When you walked in here, did all of a sudden, you feel or see it? I'm not saying I did. I was just wondering. It's like a fifth sense that I have.
Do you mean when the big creepy eel thing came out of the portal and then we all fell asleep?
I didn't say that.
I think we all collectively fell asleep, right? Or did we
You
fall
didn't fall
asleep?
asleep.
Not fall
You were
asleep,
just
but
basically racked with pain, paralyzed.
when we were all racked with pain and paralyzed.
Well, I didn't say that specifically, but that is what I meant.
To be fair, to me at least, it didn't feel so much as getting a glimpse in the future as it did just powerful magic, in my opinion. I didn't feel any kind of foreboding once I was snapped out of it. To be fair, I certainly don't know much about these things, so.
But you did see something too?
I had a vision, but I refuse to believe that that's the future.
It felt like a nightmare for sure.
So yours was bad?
Right.
Because I didn't say mine was bad. I didn't
So
allude to that.
you were having a great time. We were all rolling around.
Well,
on the ground.
I didn't say that. I'm not. I just wanted to know if you saw anything that was really
Well,
off.
I just certainly hope that it's not the future. So I'm with Avantris on this one.
So I probably don't have anything to worry about.
You probably. I mean, who knows? Who knows what we're dealing with?
Okay.
Well, at least we know we can kill a big water snake thing, whatever it was.
Well,
We're pretty good at killing things at this point.
And not much else.
I feel like I didn't get much information from you guys, but that's fine. At least I know I wasn't the only one hallucinating, because that would be terrible.
What was yours about?
No, I didn't see anything.
I saw.
Sounds like the lack of information giving its mutual then.
Huh? I'm sorry, I don't speak Dragonborn.
That's fine.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I think we should be making our way out of here.
Yeah.
Feel if we've sufficiently searched for everything.
Yeah, because I also miss Lumi, and like just in case I saw something in my vision that was like terrible and had something to do with her, I just really like to give her a hug. So, like maybe we should go get her from that strange drowned lady.
I think we should make haste. Let's make sure that we let's look around, make sure there's. I want to kind of look over where the portal opened up. Is there any evidence of any kind of portal still there?
Why don't you just do a straight investigation check? I don't know why it's a straight investigation, just an investigation check.
Straight investigation.
Investigation.
Still an 8.
A hybrid investigation, sleight of hand.
Can I do a crooked investigation?
Yeah. Go for it.
Actually,
Just curly.
I'm cursed at the left.
I was going to ask.
That's when you go.
This might be a long shot, but on our way back, I'm going to look for anything that looks like it might be usable in like a non-creepy sacrifice way, like incense and stuff like that. I don't know if there's going to be anything that I can find.
Okay.
But I'm just going to look for that on the way back.
While you're doing that, you just do another investigation check, just as you're doing it, just so I have context.
It's going to be a 14, I think.
14. Okay. And did you say you were investigating with Ronak, Kenji? Or was that, okay.
Well, I mean, with him specifically,
we'll
but
just
then
count this for now
as I go.
And
also,
what have you? You go around with your water walking towards the back of the cavern, where this enormous blue beam had been. You remember it looked very similar to the one that you had seen in Gullhaven, that had called forth the dragon turtle, and you also remembered that when it was called forth this other creature had turned to this solid black column, then it came out and basically turned back to the chaotic. You do see that there are lashes on the stone face that seem as if something had been battering this cavern for years or centuries with water, but it had just been these flickering tendrils of aquatic energy. So it was. You get the sense that this portal was like the universal incarnation of water.
The portal itself.
Yeah, the portal itself. As you're looking around, you see that there are the only real other thing of note besides the pyramid and everything else you had seen around is that as you're kind of looking down, you remember that there were the fish people, the Kuotoa, that had come up and fought you. After Deandra had died, their nun had come back up because they're minions, and that's how it works. but you can see down in the black water a little bit, strange dark spots, particularly dark spots that you could probably guess would be holes or little tunnels going deep into the earth. And the only other thing are the huge brown stone columns that you had seen. And they are covered in carvings and strange markings and pictures all the way around. And I think with that roll, we can just kind of get into it. If I can fucking pull up my iPad.
18 plus string, guys.
Oh, you said the F word.
So, while most of these pillars, and these pillars both have the same depictions on them, and while they're mostly submerged in the black water of the caverns, the elaborate carvings etched into the stone pillars are visible from where you are, at least part of the mural. Sneaking around each of the pillars.
And they're all identical?
They're identical.
Okay.
I believe there were 3.
Yeah.
And I think they were lined up. On each, snaked around each of those, is the form of an aquatic-looking, grotesque-looking creature. Piscine body with tendrils whipping out from either side, above and below. And where its mouth would be, a mass of tentacles coming down, similar to the shapes of the water elementals that you had seen come out during that fight. 3 vertical eyes prominently set, staring off into the blackness of the cavern. And beneath this spiraled form are hundreds of small little etchings and carvings, maybe even thousands, hundreds of thousands, of small fish-like humanoids. Their hands high up into the air of this depiction, and a swarm of them wraps all the way around, their arms reaching up towards this creature, and that's kind of what you can see that hasn't been submerged.
Mm-hmm. Can we... What?
I don't know, it's just a very beautiful description, and then Rhoda goes,
Can we,
ladies and gentlemen.
does it look like there's more that we can see underneath? Or does it look kind of...
Why don't you make a general investigation check? Or perception check. Let's do perception.
24.
You definitely see that it continues below the water.
Who is really good in it? I guess I'll just... How does it work? Can I kneel and stick my head in?
Ganji, how does water walking work?
but you could choose to actively dispel it. If you want to submerge yourself, you may.
Oh, thank you, Rabbit.
Misaki gifted tier 1. That's awesome. Thanks, Misaki, for...
Yeah,
you guys are
gifting
the
it.
best.
You are
I
awesome.
love you guys.
That is amazing.
I'm gonna keep it because I have
Emote.
armor on, so please don't dispel it.
I thought you just wanted to
You
go.
leave these things to the
And
ground.
that's how Rodent drowned.
I guess I will. Yeah, I'll just try to stick my head underwater and try to see the rest.
It says it gives them the ability. It doesn't say that you can't swim if you don't want to.
Okay, so we'll say that you can probably stick your head in and take a look, and we'll just keep that perception roll to look all the way around. And you can. It's very dark. This cavern is remember that really the light that you had while you were fighting Deidre was coming from that massive portal, and it's now pitch black. But luckily you all have dark vision. Through the water, you can make out shapes carved into the pillar towards the base as it sinks down into the floor of this cavern. A firm circular line all the way around, punctuating the bottom of this scene. Seemingly emerging from below this horizon are thick, chitinous, insectoid-like legs all the way around the pillar, except for the space directly below where the tentacles of the horrible fish creature reach down. All the way down at the bottom are, let me find it, emerging from the line directly below that, on that probably 30-foot pillar at least, is another mass of 10 thick tentacles writhing up towards the ceiling of the cavern.
This is a statue.
With
Carvings on that.
So it's the fish guy top.
Fish guy top.
A bunch of fishmen. His tentacles go down. Their tentacles coming back up.
Yeah, they're facing on these rather than kind of like a mass of probably more than 10 smaller ones. These are 10 thick tentacles and then basically insectoid legs all the way around.
So N'Zoth versus Cthulhu is what we're getting.
Insectoid or crab? Is it more like crab or bug?
It's kind of hard to tell. It could be crab-like, could be crustacean-like. They're just chitinous.
And does that look like that's the whole story?
That's the whole story. There, above that is basically fishmen all the way down. So you see that between the large fish creature and then those legs and the tentacles are definitely thousands of figures of these small fishmen going all the way down.
Jeez.
Just a massive swarm of them carved along this pillar.
Well, I'll go back and I'll relay that to everybody. Judging by all of this, I think there's way more than just that big thing that made us lose our minds. I think there's a lot of weird creatures or monsters or something beyond what we've seen.
Yet again, it seems as though we may be in over our heads. This seems to be much bigger than any of us.
Right. And so I think we got lucky today. Honestly, I think we got the fact that we're all alive and we're all relatively all right. That's.
I
don't think we
took
can count
quite
on
a
that.
beating, that's for sure.
I think we all did. Well, anything else to explore?
No, I really
Don't
just
think
want to
so.
get back with Lumi.
All right.
I'm concerned for her.
And we already looked around all of the. Oh, poor Matthias. Rip.
Aww, Matthias. Goodbye, Santa Claus.
Goodbye.
Gone but not forgotten.
And we already looked kind of around the pyramid and everything, right?
Yeah, it looks like was very ancient, similar dragonborn architecture. You get the sense that it was built by those priests and cultists that probably spent several decades and the remainder of their lives building this massive water temple, tomb of Bakrul to summon this primeval one.
All right. Shall we head back?
Yes.
So.
All right.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just hustle back the way we came.
Okay.
Assuming there aren't any horrible monsters.
So you guys are just going to basically make your way up.
Say
to the
true.
cave in the mouth. Say true. Hi.
Arr.
I'm gonna miss Matthias.
Oh, boy.
So you're all stealing yourselves, and as you're getting ready, Sylvie, you get a distressed communication from Lumi saying that somebody's coming.
Hold on. God, I don't know what the Gloomy does. Okay. How far away are we from them, do you think?
You are very deep into the earth, like maybe even hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet, miles maybe.
Okay, so
miles.
I know that Lumi can cast invisibility on herself. Can she cast it on other people? Like, is that, since it's the spell on her thing, is that a spell?
The
she
question
has?
is, does your voice of the Chainmaster be your invisibility? Her invisibility is on herself.
Should I look it
Her
up?
invisibility is 100% only on her. It's a
So
matter of what
I would
you
have
can
to
do.
be within range, and I'm not. So,
Okay.
What's the range?
the range is like 60 feet or something like that or the range is touch.
It's
on,
touch.
Oh, it's touch on invisibility.
Yeah.
So then I don't know how that works with Voice of the Chainmaster. Since I can communicate with her, could she then do it? Because she's basically just...
She acts as your hands.
Yeah, she acts as my hands.
But is there a range on
Does
that?
it not have its own range?
Can you
No,
look
the
up
range-
Voice of the Chainmaster?
Yeah, I've got it here. Sorry, give me 1 second.
So yeah, just
D&D Beyond.
she says that 2 ropes have been cast down over the cave of the mouth.
Oh,
That was intentional. Mouth of the cave. Intentional.
Okay, class features.
Cave in the mouth.
the mouth of the cave in the mouth.
Yep.
Okay.
Implications. Okay, so Voice of the Chainmaster. You can communicate telepathically with your familiar and perceive through your familiar senses as long as you're on the same plane of existence. Additionally, while perceiving through your familiar senses, you can also speak through your familiar if your own voice, even if your familiar is normally incapable of speech. If you're studying occult lore, you have unearthed... Oh, okay, second level. No, it's just additional stuff. So I think it's actually under the Find Familiar spell, so I have to
Okay.
go to my spells and look. I apologize. I should know this. I should be more smarterist than this. Find Familiar.
You guys want to talk while this happens? Anything?
You gain
D&D
access-
Beyond is we are sponsored by Loot Crate.
We're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're
No,
not
we're not.
actually.
Sponsor.
Tonight's
Oh,
sponsorship is fried Chipotle. Remember, when you ask for extra meat,
Always wait. We are sponsored by Giant Brand Seltzer. It powers
All of our
it
sessions.
powers
just
all
in
our
there?
sessions. It
Unless we
powers
forget to
all
buy
of
some.
the prep work of this. Is all just seltzer, coffee, and scotch.
and guacamole's extra.
Any luck?
So, I mean, it says that finally when you cast a spell with a range of touch, your familiar can deliver the spell as if it had cast the spell. Your familiar must be within 100 feet of you.
Okay.
So.
Okay, got it.
So.
Hey, Derek, it's Matthias.
Hey,
So-
Matthias in the chat.
Yeah. Say true.
Say true.
You lying. You ain't got no sponsors.
We ain't got no sponsor. So Lumi's saying that there are figures coming down on the ropes, and
So I'm gonna communicate back with her telepathically and tell her to find some place for her and the girl to hide, for her to stay invisible and to keep us updated.
okay.
And we'll get there as soon as we can.
She says that they're going to go back into the temple. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys are gonna head out.
So do you relay this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well let's go. And then I think we would start hustling.
Yeah.
Sprinting back.
Absolutely.
As we're walking, I'm gonna cast Prayer of Healing.
Have we had a short rest by chance? I couldn't remember. If we
Yes,
taken
you had a
one.
short rest.
Okay.
So we can use our hit dice and whatnot?
Yeah.
Let me
Go for it.
actually use hit dice first.
I don't know what any of this means. I had 11 health. Okay, good.
15.
Okay. Let's see. The eights.
19, 34.
Oh, thanks, Rabbit.
Hey,
Thank you for the
yes.
host.
This is the first time I've ever had to use like all of my hit dice to even remotely heal up. This is crazy.
While you are all running, we'll just say this is happening. Lumi
Yeah.
says that there are two crooks. They found Cecily, and they grabbed her. She's staying invisible. They don't seem to notice her.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You
I
sound
want
like.
to die.
You're all
So-
running through.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, I think the goal is just to sprint there as quick as we can.
Okay.
I know we have a far way to go.
So yeah, no, you guys had probably walked for like at least an hour.
Would I have been within 300 feet?
What?
Would I have been within? Because I was gonna say before we started doing the hit die that once I was roughly
No,
within like
no,
300
no.
feet,
It's
I
just,
wanna.
you guys were walking down the stairs to where you were for like over an hour, just for the stairs.
Okay.
And so yeah, 300 feet is like, you know, from like the balcony, you know, just the stairs down into there. So Lumi tells you that they've bound her, gagged her, and have dragged her off. They didn't kill her immediately. Immediately. She said that they're taking her to a place called Gangplank.
Sounds about right.
And you are sprinting, making your way through. You hear the loud clatter of your footsteps echoing through the halls. You hear the drip, 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 the running water as you're coming up from the depths of the earth. That strange, dank, black feeling that you had
Dank.
deep
So
deep
dank.
into the earth. So very dank. Dank 420 blaze it.
As dank as the hallway outside my apartment.
Is dank? Yeah,
Ew.
that's disgusting.
It's really bad.
I'm so sorry.
A lot of skunks on your floor.
Yeah, a lot of skunks. And you get to that same open door that you had opened through all of the Fun Water temple puzzles. You're making your way as quickly as you can. Probably not going as quickly as you would have, given that you were all horribly wounded and knocked out several times. But making your way as quickly as possible. While this has been happening, Lumi says that they basically gone back up the ropes, and she's waiting for you guys at the mouth of the cave. And
Cave in the mouth.
cave in the mouth.
Get it right.
And you're running through. You manage to. We'll just say, for the sake of brevity, Ganji, you find, I would say, one crab shell.
Mhm.
And one preserved like fish bone skeleton that seemed to be carved up
Okay.
with deliberate carvings. I'll say just kind of that you just found on the ground that you hadn't really noticed before as part of your harvesting of ritualistic
Mhm.
things. Nothing really incensey or planty, anything like that. But you get the idea that these were probably ritualistic little bits and pieces.
Okay. So maybe not a divination spell, but maybe an augury spell.
Yeah, potentially.
I hope it
Potentially. And you make your way back up to that balcony where the waterfall had once come crashing down. You could probably just say you did some rope shenanigans to get back up, flew up and did all that. Well, just for the sake of brevity, and sprinted up to towards the tomb, and you see that the door that you had come through is closed.
The one that we had to do
one
the
that-
ghosty guys.
That the ghosty guys.
Does it?
Well, that's not good. Does it? Can we like push it? I try to run up and like try to push it open.
Try to push it open. Okay. Make a athletics check.
19.
19. You go and you put your shoulder into it, and you get the sense that it does budge a little bit, as if it had been closed, but it's no longer magically sealed.
All right, then let's work together here. Let's give this a shot. Can we all put our backs into this?
Well, is it locked? Did it have a lock at all, or no?
I had disarmed some traps, but that was it.
Yeah, it was locked via ghostly.
All right, come on, let's do this.
Okay.
And
Teamwork. Together.
Lumi didn't say that they came in here, did they?
No.
No.
So basically, just for the Lumi communicated to Sylvie, and Sylvie would have relayed this, that they would have tried to get in, but the door was shut, and they had to go to the wingtip. The two crooks found them, gagged and bound them, and gagged and bound her, and took her away back up to the rope, back up the ropes to a place called Gangplank.
The point is, the crooks did not close the door or lock it.
Yeah, it was already closed.
No. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I can give you a more deliberate rundown probably once they go and talk to Lumi after the whole thing happens.
Okay.
And
So start pushing.
so you guys are all working together. So Rodek, I guess, do you want to take the charge and just roll with advantage?
Sure. 24.
24. Okay. So with all of you, you are grabbing the door and heaving into it. You realize that without the spectral charms on this is still a very ancient door, and it probably wasn't the most structurally sound, especially with Rodek, with your knowledge of masonry. You are able to, with the help of the rest of the party, have it crumble forward. Those ancient carvings and bas reliefs on the door completely crumbling into dust.
Oh, that's a shame.
As the door crumbles forward, Lumi immediately reveals herself and goes to Sylvie and tells her everything that has happened. And
That we already know, that you already told us.
already know. I'll just give you kind of a full rundown.
I keep going to scope out the mouth.
Okay.
Of the cave in the mouth.
So you let me pull this up.
Because basically I want to see if they're still there and or if the ropes are still there.
So, and when you get there, the cave entrance is quiet, or as quiet as it can be, with the rough seas battering its mouth. Beyond the entrance, however, is a very gloomy day, very thick rolling clouds in the sky, and even the ocean looks gray. Off towards the horizon, you see a relatively large ship anchored. The silhouettes of huge vultures dotting the sky above it. And Lumi fills you all in on basically, she's trying to remember, she's a little bit panicked and scared from what had just happened. But she said that the tide had come in, but they had found a little outcropping to stay on while it had come in. She didn't get swept out to sea, and they managed to wait it out. But once dawn had hit in the early morning, 2 ropes came down. They heard voices. There were 2 separate crooks. One was considerably larger than the other. One was a larger, more kind of aqua color. Another was a orange scaled. One a little bit smaller. They were bickering. They were the smaller one was upset that those 2 were chosen to kind of clear out the cave, and that it was a cursed cave, and it was a place that it seemed that these crooks were very scared to go to, generally, and that it was only a place that the creepy sea cultists would go. They surveyed the battlefield and saw all the corpses of the cultists that had been slain, and expressed dismay that they had not been alive to kill the traitors themselves, and that one of them said, well, at least they're dead, and the other had told them that, well, it's not good enough. It may be good enough for you, but it's not good enough for King Krem, who's looking for prisoners for the display. And
The display?
for the display.
That's ominous.
And so they mention that the Gullhaven lot that advisor Orpheus had mentioned must have gotten to the cultists, the traitors of the sea bitch, before they could get there. And they looked around, and despite trying to hide in the shadows, it seemed as if Cecily had the stench was too much of Bakagul's rotting form, had puked, given herself away, and been kidnapped. They were saying that that she was lucky that she had been found by them before the sea bitch turned traitor, or else she would have been bug-eyed and purple, drowning. Probably not realizing that they had attempted to drown her. And that they were taking her to a place called taking her to Gangplank to meet their king, and they called her King Krem the Kind, and they were laughing at her as they bound and gagged her. Let me just make sure there's nothing that I missed. And so they saw the door, and they saw that it was shut. Both of them thought that that it might be possible to force open, but they seemed very nervous. That was basically as far as they were going to get in. This place seemed to have some sort of cursed reverence to these lizard folk. And they referenced, like, well, what if the Gullhaven lot returns? What if they come back? They say, well, we have the skies and the seas keeping an eye out for them. And they would never go through the cudgel mire, and if they did, they won't survive that.
Little do they know.
And with that, they basically both decided to, lies agreed upon, that they checked out everything and left so they wouldn't have to explore the depths of the tomb of Bakagul.
So they just said that it was fine and they found the person?
They just said that they were, even the larger one who had been more gruff had wanted to, was a little bit hesitant about actually entering the tomb.
So we still have no idea who closed the door.
You don't know when it would have closed. Luna tells you that they had stayed as close away from that area for as long as they could until the crooks arrived.
So we still see a ship out there. Yeah. Just one?
Just one.
Is it the same? Have we seen the ship before? During the attack?
Make an intelligence check.
Oh, really? That's 3.
It looks like a ship a pirate might have.
It's like a big old galleon.
Big old something.
Okay.
You can tell that it is not the huge flagship of King Krem that you had seen leaving the harbor.
Okay.
At least. It looked probably to be of a similar style. A similar style that had been used, but I mean, you're not recognizing it particularly.
Okay.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Gangplank is probably that... Would we have any inkling that Gangplank was the big pirate town?
I think it'd be a reasonable connection to make.
Got it.
So
do I know of any active volcanoes, in the area? Would I have ever heard of an island with an active volcano, or are there more than one?
Why don't you make an intelligence check, Avantris?
I would love to. I rolled a 10 with my intelligence.
Roll that with advantage, actually.
Okay. Oh, that's a 14. Hold on, with my intelligence. Oh, it's +5, 19 total.
19. You actually recall living in Gullhaven most of your life, and this island chain is actually a volcanic island chain. So the large mountain that you had seen, you know to be a volcano. Whether it's dormant or extinct, or whatever, if you're a geologist, whatever that means. But you know that island chain, that Undertow Isle, is the northernmost island is a volcanic island chain.
So the one that we're on houses a volcano.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go anywhere or do anything, we have several leads. We know that we probably need to go to Gangplank if we want to get more information of why Orpheus was working with those individuals. But I believe that Orpheus is still on this island.
Do you?
He did mention that he had, in a cartoonishly villain fashion, a volcano there.
Right.
You don't ever read those.
That I'm aware of in the vicinity of Gullhaven and this island chain.
You don't ever read those novel scrolls. Have they not made it this far north yet?
I don't.
I actually don't think that's true. I think he's on the plane of fire in a volcano.
So you're saying that big mountain we saw was? Did we know it was a volcano at the time?
I think that I think Matthias had maybe mentioned it, and I think Vandris, with his knowledge of the region, would probably know that it's a volcano.
So I thought he probably ported to some kind of plane of fire, but
yeah,
you're right.
He keeps talking about all of these planes, and there's the plane of water, and so I'm sure he's on the plane of fire.
Well,
So I don't think we should rule that out. I think that's absolutely a reasonable assumption, but, until he mentioned volcano, I honestly hadn't thought of it. That, yes, we're on an island with a volcano. I don't know if it's active or dormant, but that mountain was or is volcanic.
I mean, that would be kind of tricksy of him to be like, "Ooh, I went to my volcano lair," and then we're all like, "Oh, we had to go to the plane of fire," and he's like, "Ha ha ha! I was right here all along." So I mean, I guess it's definitely an Orpheus thing.
Confident, like me, he's made very blatant claims in the past. I wouldn't put it past him to just be hiding under our noses.
Really? No, I don't think he's there. I don't think he's small enough.
no.
Diminution potions.
I think that's a great point, and honestly, it didn't cross my mind, but I think you're exactly right, that he's probably still on this island. Especially given that he's been obviously preparing for some time in this area. So
The
now...
only thing that concerns me is that he actually did seem fearful of what Deidre was attempting to do. And I don't know that retreating to this same island would protect him if he was truly scared of what Deidre was trying to do. That's my only hang-up.
Well, he might have thought that with the fireball he stopped it. He wasn't around to see her sacrifice herself.
Or
Right.
if he's working with this King Krem and all of these people, he might have felt that if he's with them, he's far more safe. Like,
True.
being down here with all that alone, I can understand being fearful, but if you have an army at your back, then you're less likely to be as worried. And that's kind of his thing, I feel, is
Agreed.
using other people for his own gains.
So we have several options. We either take the time to investigate the volcano and see what we can find, or if we're concerned about this display of prisoners, we try to make our way to Gangplank.
I mean, I think we can do both, because we can scout the Isle while we make our way there, but, my honest opinion is at this point, I think we need to rest. I would normally be the first person to run after and help somebody, but I think that we've done all we can do for this person, and I'm not going to run into danger again for someone I don't know and risk your lives for someone I don't know if what we tried to do didn't work already. So at this point, let her be part of this display. And we don't rush in and try to get ourselves killed. We take a night, we rest, we talk, we think about it, and then we do what we need to do to finish this.
We've seen a chart like this, right?
I believe one of you was charting it out while you were circling the island.
So we know that we're here, and the place we're thinking is Gangplank is on the exact opposite of the island.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we're getting... I would like to go help these people as soon as we can, but it's also true we're not going to get there for hours anyway. And if we're not getting there in the next few hours, I don't know that another 8 hours is going to change anything.
Yeah.
I can agree with
And
that.
I think running in there weekend is the best way to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
What time is it?
It's a little after dawn. So it's probably like 9. It's mid-morning, probably 9 or 10.
And we haven't slept all night long.
That said, I would like to, if we're choosing ways to go, I would like to choose the way to go that would also help the people possibly.
I 100% agree. I just wanted to caution anyone from trying to run and specifically save this one person.
I agree
I
with
think that as much as I like turning him into things, and he is a scaredy cat most of the time, I am trying to learn a little bit from Rodek and not be so brash. And though my instincts tell me to run and save her, I think that,
I'm very impressed.
I did everything I could, and I was at a severe disadvantage against Deidre trying to protect her. And it was for nothing.
Right.
And so I'm not.
Well,
I can't
she's not
expend-
dead yet, as far as we know.
Oh, but she probably will be, and I can't expend more of my, I can't expend more of my reserves to try and protect someone I don't know. When in that fight with Deidre, I saw Ganji go unconscious twice, and if I hadn't been at such a disadvantage, I could have helped him. And I can't disadvantage myself for people I don't know when I need to be protecting the people I do know and the people I do care about.
And I think that's very wise.
Matthias leaving was the second person in my life who's left and was important to me.
Aww.
And so I don't want any of you guys to get hurt.
And I appreciate that, and I think that's everyone's
But I do
goal.
want to
Is
turn you
no
into
one
a
wants to
monkey
get
every once in a while.
Well, no, you're not going to do that again.
But just every
I told you everybody gets one. You got two.
Yeah, but
Well, you
Everybody gets two now.
You
That's
better,
it.
you better get better at your saves then.
Well, do you
I know.
I actually have this.
Fucking guys.
I have this really interesting rod now that actually is going to make it more difficult for him. However, do you think that maybe we could talk about like an animal that you like that I could turn you into, like just when you're getting a little over the top, and it's something that you're okay with, and I'll do that one,
Okay,
and it's a compromise.
I would suggest while you guys discuss that, because
It's
I
very
am
important.
I am 100% in
Very
support of this conversation. We should probably find a way to get on top of the cliff and out of this cave since this is clearly a place that they know about and need to check.
We also need to find ultimately where this Cudgel Pass thing that was mentioned may be. I know that we don't know the island, and I'm sure that there aren't exactly going to be markings, but we probably want to take the path that at least explains
I come from swamps, and I can't be 100% sure, but mire is normally a term, I would know this, right, for swamplands. It's normally a term for swamplands, and I don't know if you remember, but there was that really, really, really stinky swampland, and so I wonder if that's what he's referring to.
Could be.
Do we have time until the tide comes back in?
Yeah, the tide would have just gone out.
So we were deeper within when the tide came.
I think Lumi probably would have told you that they had been waiting to check it out. Orpheus had gone back, told King Krem. King Krem told people to go check it out. They had to wait till the tide came in before they could do that. Went out again to do that.
Okay.
So if we need to rest anyway, why don't we rest right here in the back of the cave? We make your dome, whatever color it needs to be, a dark gray so that it blends in.
No, I was thinking like pink with some little specks of glitter, and maybe like a sheen of mint. I just really love mint.
Oh,
Or sea foam, because we're
that's
right now
fine.
by the ocean.
Then we'll go back into the
So
cave.
sea foam could be a beautiful color for a tiny hut, don't you think?
I trust your judgment.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that if there's a boat right outside and it's approaching broad daylight, right? It's approaching daylight. I think we'd be spotted fairly easily trying to scale the cliff by that boat out there.
Yeah, probably. Oh, you know what
It's
I could do?
probably best we move under the cover of darkness.
Right.
If we rest for a full 8 hours,
Then we
that
can
will
go
give us
at
the
night.
time.
Right.
And you know what I was also thinking? I could use a minor illusion, and I could write the words "inconspicuous mint hut" on the front of it, so that way if anyone comes in and they see it, they're like, "Oh, but it's an inconspicuous mint hut," and they won't even look in there.
That's actually a great idea. I'm going to write in big letters on the wall of the cave, "No one here, probably not worth checking out."
Oh my God, would you mind? Because that would be perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's get some sleep.
Okay.
So why don't we go back into the cave a little bit?
Do we want to go to the area where we rescued Cecily from?
Well,
Since
that's
that was
towards
like
the front.
deeper in. Well, not where the teeths are, and then we went in and we went around, right?
Well, no, we have to go further back. Look, basically, just where we're
You're
completely
going into
outside.
like the temple. Is that the idea? Or you're going like to the gross. So basically, teeth
Okay.
area, gross ass shit.
Oh,
temple.
the other thing we can do is we want to move in cover of night. So why doesn't Annulin could cast her like, "Ooh, spooky dark circle, walk with me, guys" ability. I don't know what it's called because I'm not a ranger and I can't do that. But she can cast that weird shadow thing on us, and then we could leave the cave of the mouth, walk into the vegetation, and then put it up. And then I'll just make it green, like the color of the leaves, and we can like hide under bushes or something.
We're going to scale this cliff.
No, we're gonna walk out and around the teeps in her darkness sphere.
To where?
Just somewhere into the vegetation.
I don't think there was any vegetation down here.
Is there vegetation down here?
You didn't see any.
I didn't see any, so this is actually a terrible idea.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you,
I
finally.
retract,
I agree.
I retract my statement. Let's go deeper into the cave.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna need a watch order just real quick.
Ooh.
Don't we have our usual?
What is our usual?
I'm usually in the front somewhere, getting ready to get smoked in the face.
Avantris is no wait. Watch order as far as we're sleeping.
Oh, sorry. I'll always go first.
Yeah.
I'll
So
watch.
usually Avantris is the first 4 hours. Annulin's the second 4 hours.
Oh, that covers everybody.
And then
basically.
but then somebody else.
Yeah.
Usually we have two
You have
on
two.
watch.
Okay.
Hold on, I just want to make sure. So I want to cast this as a ritual because of my bard. It lasts for 8 hours. It's a 10-foot radius, a mobile dome of force, and it remains stationary for the duration. 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside the dome. The spell fails if its area includes a larger creature of more than 9 creatures. Objects within the dome you cast a spell can move through it freely. All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through it. Spells and other magical effects can't extend through the dome or be cast through it. The atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry, regardless of whether you're outside. Until the spell ends, I can command the interior to become dimly lit or dark. The dome is opaque from the outside, of any color you choose, but is transparent from the inside. So that is
what color?
the thing. I want to make it blend in with the walls.
Okay.
So
you're making
kind of
like
like
this
put it in the
grayish,
corner and then
brownish
make it
color.
just kind of.
As soon as Sylvie casts this, the dome comes out. The moistness that you've experienced basically since you took started setting sail with Matthias is gone, and you're finally experiencing like a nice dry atmosphere. The horrific stench of Bakragul, it was still kind of filtering down, is no longer there, and it's actually quite pleasant. You feel like you might be able to get a better rest here than you had in a while.
Yeah, I've been working on this for a while. I haven't been powerful enough to do it, but Sweet Lady Titania blessed me with the ability recently because she didn't want me to have to sleep like a heathen.
Well, thank her for that.
Oh, I do every single night.
All right, everybody, get some sleep. I'd like to get my watch started here.
We'll take.
Before we sleep, do we want to have a plan, or are we just going to wake up in the morning? And
Why doesn't Lumi take the first watch?
No, Lumi is tired. She has been watching for too long. She's going to stay with me,
Well,
and
only
we are
three of
going to
us.
snuggle.
I'll be fine.
Okay.
We have 2 elves that only need to do for 4 hours.
In 4 hours, Annual will be able to wake and it'll be
We
no
literally
issue.
only need 2 people.
Okay,
to do that.
that's fine. I'll sleep. That's fine.
Nobody can get in here.
All right.
She just has to go, hey guys, something's coming. That's it, because they can't get in.
Can you handle that, Anulin? Can you do that?
What did you say?
I said, if somebody's coming, what you have to do, it's very difficult. You have to go, hey guys, something's coming. Because they can't get in. But that's it. Can you do that?
Yeah, I think
She's capable.
Okay, fine.
I think I can do that.
Thank
I
you,
will
darling.
sleep for a solid 8 hours.
Yeah,
All
me
right.
too.
Let's go.
During my watch, after everyone has slept, to pass the time, I would like to reach into the bag of holding and begin to identify the potions that Forgus gave us.
Oh, I don't know if it matters, but you attune to items in a short rest, not a long rest. I was reading the PHB. I thought it was a long rest.
No, we've done that.
Oh, I've been sitting here not attuning to anything until I've slept.
So
Let's say I'm attuning to something.
You
or
have
does
to
it just
you have
happen?
you just have to spend your entire short rest with the item and experimenting with it. You can still talk and do other things, but you have to be doing it.
I would like to attune myself to my Sharky necklace.
okay,
My dobro.
Your
Big girl.
you
sharky tooth.
while you're on your watch, you sit down with the necklace and you're channeling on it. You do get the sense, after kind of feeling it and looking at it, that this seems to be from the very same beast where Dobro got his necklace, and you are attuned to your magical item.
Well, Vanders is also on watch first, so.
Vandris, you reach into the bag of holding, and you actually realize that you had left all of the potions that Forgus gave you on the ship.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I thought we put everything in the bag.
It's a
No.
giant crate of
It
them.
was
They
a
don't fit
giant
in back.
Yeah, he specifically asked us if we wanted to bring any of them with us, and we said no, we would get them later.
Yeah.
And
Oh, bummer.
yeah.
So hopefully they just fell down,
Oh, they're probably
they were
gone.
floating
No,
on the
no,
boat,
no.
and then just
And now they're just floating out at sea.
Well, we did drive that boat pretty far up though. They might still be
yeah,
on
they
the beach.
might beach.
I would imagine
Maybe
that
we'll get
it's
lucky and they'll
contained
be-
in glass jars, though.
That's
It's not gonna-
that's
Yeah.
actually going to be buried treasure for our
Well,
next campaign.
you also have to think
Oh, right.
that the glass jars probably have bubbles of air in them after they were corked, so maybe the buoyancy and the wood. I don't know. Do you have fiat? Maybe he'll throw us a bone.
Anyway.
Won't know unless you check. Okay.
So you go to sleep.
Okay.
I braid Lumi's hair before he falls asleep.
And you
Thank
enjoy
you,
a long rest.
Kira!
Thank you for the cheer.
Long
the
rest,
best.
guys.
Long rest.
Wonderful.
You wake up,
You
and
feel
the elves have been up for a while, and
Fucking elves.
Fucking elves.
the elves have been up for a while, and it is probably so. If it was like you went to bed probably at about 10 a.m., 8 hours after that. What is that? Math that out for me. That's,
What?
It's about
It's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. The sun, you kind of see the golden and orange hued rays beaming in through the mouth of the cave. We're gonna say that appropriately. The memes are great and all.
So
It starts to just kind of shimmer out of existence because it's been 8 hours.
Okay.
So it goes away.
the night was uneventful.
I mean, we'd have been happy to tell you if that had been the case. Nothing happened on my watch.
All right.
We just want to make sure that Annulin was capable, because Rodek seemed concerned. She shot a gigantic bird out of the sky from like 400 miles away, but he was afraid she couldn't say, "Hey guys, something's coming."
No, I was just mostly patronizing you, but that's fine.
You're not my patron. Titania's my patron.
Oh, right. Oh, I forgot.
God, he's so weird.
I hit my head a little bit. in the
Only
fight earlier.
difference, something did happen in the night. I should probably bring that up.
Well, thanks a lot, Annulin.
Annulin was not able to sense this because it's happened in Sylvie's dream.
It was during the day.
Oh, Sylvie's dream.
Right? Oh.
It happened in
See, I'm capable.
Sylvie's dream.
Asshole.
Sylvie, while you were dreaming, this rarely happens. It's happened a few times in your adventures. You are in the middle of the same part of Whippoorwallow Swamp where you had first fallen through the Fey Crossing. And then in one moment, you're shifted to that much darker, much older swamp where you had first met Titania. In the same horrifically beautiful, blazing radiance, pinks and light greens, shimmering, glowing radiance, you see the beautiful silhouette, curvy, shapely, almost a perfect figure of Titania. You kneel, and she does not speak. She has not yet spoken in your dreams. But as you kneel and bow your head, you are filled with a sense of promise and approval. And you are filled with the sense that huge three-eyed creature that had come out of the portal is something you must pursue and find out more about.
Okay.
That it is of utter importance to the Summer Court.
Okay. And she doesn't say anything to me? No. In my dream, did I have like any kind of like onus of my actions towards her, or is it just more like I am looking through the eyes
I'll
of...
say you are looking, it's almost as if you're brought back to that moment you met her again. You're in that huge swamp in the Feywild and lost and afraid, and once again that same beautiful silhouette and the glowing radiance comes and offers you the guiding hand, and basically a recreation of that. But there is a sense of relief in that division that you had been stricken with, where she had shunned you, stripped you of her powers, and cast you out of the Feywild. You got the sense that was actually quite the opposite. That discovering and foiling Diadra's plan was a job very well done. And that pursuing whatever these dark machinations are is critical for the Summer Court.
But I'm not able to interact with her anyway. In any way.
No.
Okay.
So it's basically the same recreation, and then you kneel. You got that kind of sense flooded into you in the radiance and pulled back.
Okay. So I imagine that Sylvie comes out of the dream and she like wakes up for a second and she looks over and she sees Lumi there napping on the little pillow next to her, part of her bedroll, and she kind of scoops her up and nestles her into her arm and puts her forehead to her forehead, and she goes, "It's okay. We're gonna be all right." And then she falls back asleep.
So you all enjoy the long rest. It is dusk. It is approaching dusk. And what shall you do?
Okay, so I'm going to cast as ritual augury.
Okay.
With using the fish bones that I got earlier. I'm going to cast the bones.
Yep.
And so basically what this does is I receive an omen from an otherworldly entity about the results of a specific course of action you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. DM chooses from the following possible omens.
That's amazing.
Wheel for good results, woe for bad results, wheel and woe for both good and bad, and nothing for results that aren't particularly either. Doesn't take into account any possible circumstances that might change the outcome, which shouldn't matter for our purposes. Cast the spell 2 more times before completing the next long rest. Cumulative 25% chance that I get a random reading, but I haven't cast it, so this is the one cast. So, what I'm doing is I'm trying to get an omen of, is it a bad idea to use this power? Like, will it be a good result or a bad result if I use this power that was given to us?
And you're asking of this of Bahamut?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm specifically trying to get Bahamut's reaction to this.
Okay.
And whether he would like approve of this or hate it.
Okay. So you take the bones, you arrange them in a ritualistic fashion, and you sit and you pray over them. As you pray, probably a little bit of a relief for you as well, given your vision. You do get a response in your mind, your first question of the powers bestowed upon you by the figure in the figure in the shadows. There is a considerable pause, and it said, and then you get the same response in your mind's eye: wheel and woe.
Okay. Interesting.
Curious.
Icarus.
Careful, Icarus.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Whatever.
I want to peek my head out and see if I can still see the ship.
Make a perception check.
That's where I'm a Viking.
Rip Matthias.
Natty 20.
Pickle Rick!
I see the universe. 25.
I went to... Sorry. No. This is out of character. I'm super bitter that he didn't give us that glass of true seeing.
Yeah. Completely on a side note, is there any other music we can use? It keeps sounding like it's ringing, and I keep thinking there's a phone ringing. That's the only music.
Because it's daytime. And it's like kind of a high. You're no longer in the tomb of Bakragul, which is the name of what I cut this as.
That's awesome. I hate to be a pain in the butt. It just keeps
No. I'm
distracting me.
sorry.
Pickle hoots!
And so I just want to make sure, Angie, you could cast that 3 times. Is that?
Sorry?
You could cast it 3 times. You said ask 3 questions before it.
No. This is just one question.
Oh, you got 3 questions before it goes away, right?
No, that's a different spell.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, so Rodek, you look out onto the sea, and it seems as if the ship that was anchored outside is still anchored outside. Vultures still are flying around. They occasionally circle overhead. They are going down on the ship, leaving the ship.
There we go. So I relay that. So the boat's still out there. So I think it's clear that what Lumi heard is true. That they are.
She would never lie.
They are very clearly monitoring both the air and the sea.
Just for a bit of context here, something that I forgot to mention that Lumi would have told you. they did complain about the undertow outside, and that the rough currents, and that they couldn't bring the ship in further, and they basically had to use ropes to get down.
Yeah. So one of the
Man,
things
they might
that
as well call this island Undertow Isle or something.
so one of the things that Lumi forgot to mention is that they're afraid of the camel toe. That there's something about it that makes it really difficult to get into this island. It's a rough camel toe.
I'm
So they have to
sorry,
use
excuse me?
ropes.
Did you say rough
Hold
camel
on.
toe?
Undertow, I'm sorry. It's
Oh.
a Sylvan translation
I see.
thing.
No,
Yeah.
lost in translation.
Undertow.
Ah.
Camel toe. All right.
Yeah.
So, did we notice Ganji rolling the bones?
Probably. It took me 11 minutes. So unless you're just like, that's normal.
I'd like to walk up to Ganji and say, if you don't mind me asking, friend, what were you doing over there?
I was attempting to get an omen on whether these things on these powers for us are a blessing or a curse. Whether using them is a good idea or a bad.
Did it work?
Well, it apparently took a while for Bahamut to decide what sign to give us, but he gave us the sign of weal and woe, which means both good and bad can come of it, which means
Yeah.
I'm not going to use this. For me personally, I'm not going to use it unless it's the absolute very last resort.
So here's the thing. I would have guessed with that kind of result you would feel that way. I certainly have seen some wild things since we've been on this journey together, and while I don't know much about gods or really worship any of them, I respect your god. I've seen his power, its power. Would he look down on the rest of us if we were also use these powers, or do you think that it really is just in relation to you? Because again, I respect your religion and its power, and I would like to stay in Bahamut's good grace as well.
No, go ahead.
I don't think you have anything to fear from Bahamut on this score, but again, given that these were given to us by a person that we can reasonably think came from the underworld, I don't know that you have to not use them if that's what you choose. I don't know. I can't advise you that this is something you must absolutely avoid, but I would exercise caution for myself.
Well, then maybe using it as a last resort is a good idea.
And that's interesting because though the Fae have a tendency of being fickle creatures, not necessarily a message, but kind of a sense from Titania last night, and I didn't get any bad feelings. And now, honestly, I don't know about your connection with Bahamut, but my connection with Titania is something that was willingly given, and it was gifted from her to me. And I think that if she thought that there was something about this that was nefarious, she would have warned me against it. She could give me a little bit of guidance, and none of it was anything negative about this item. So at least for me, and maybe it's different, but Titania is very powerful and beautiful and wonderful in every way, and I aspire to be just like her. And if she thinks it's okay, then I think it's okay. For me, but no pressure for you.
No,
I appreciate the insight.
But it might help, since, you seem to have reverence for Bahamut, but no one ever talks about how amazing Titania is and the cool shit that I can do because of her. And so...
To be fair, you haven't really spoken much of Titania to us.
Well, that's because you have to be very special to be in her good graces. And, I just wasn't sure that you guys were ready. You tried to kill me once, and I will never forget it. But I think that after last night and losing, becoming a widow when my husband died, and now having, the misty soul of his daughter in my weapon, I just feel like we're connected in a different way, There's just something about being the widow of Santa Claus that makes you see things clearly, and I see that I can tell you a little bit more about it.
Well, when you'd like to, please, I would be all ears.
Wonderful. She's amazing. I think you would love her. You'd probably want to marry her, but you can't because she's an archfey and you're just enough.
You hear that, Avantris? You're just enough.
Yeah.
I've been called worse.
You're really just enough. You're high, which is, better than Annulin, because she comes from like the woods and she's like dirty and stuff.
Speaking of
But
dead,
at least you're not a dwarf.
Supposed to be.
Well, neither one of you is a dwarf, so there's at least that.
There is. I'm certainly glad I'm not an elf. I'll tell you that.
Well,
All right, Mrs. Claus. Are you? So, are you saying that we can use these powers without
oh, I'm not giving you
divine
any kind
retribution?
No,
from
because
Bahamut?
I don't know anything about Bahamut. I just know that Titania seems to be A-okay with me, and she's the one that I fear. Well, not fear, revere, but fear.
Do we know what they do? Like, we can read them as people, like players, but do we know, in character, do we know what the power is?
I would just say for this, after taking a short rest and attuning to the power, you basically say, oh, hey, I can do it, like fucking Spider-Man. Oh, shooting webs! Like, you get a sense in your mind's eye of how it works. And you actually get the sense of, like, where it comes from. Like, the flavor text on there is in character where the power comes from. So, you would probably have each gotten a vision, a very crazy vision of whatever plane of hell your power came from, of Batoria came from, and that's how you know what it's empowered by.
So, right, I would say that let's be cautious, but I think that we shouldn't hesitate to use it if it proves necessary.
I agree.
everyone has to act on
Yeah.
according to the dictates of their conscience.
Like I said, Bahamut may he might not believe in Santa Claus. So that could be part of the reason he gave the woe.
The what?
So,
Perhaps
Well-
we carry on and maybe have this conversation as we go.
yeah, that's fine. Didn't he give Ganji a woe? He gave him like a wooden wheel that we put in the bag of holding, I'm assuming, and he gave him a woe.
No, I'm keeping this wheel to myself.
Okay,
This
well,
is
that's
my
fine.
wheel.
So you didn't like a whoa, like that kind of thing.
Whoa. Yeah, kind of like that. Whoa. Yeah, kind of like that.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I didn't know that he was an artist. Oh, is Bahamut a bard? Do you think I could commune with him sometime for additional help?
I would love to see what happens.
Okay. One of these, when things aren't, like, it's dire and we're not
Is it
in a
approaching
volcano.
dark now?
I would say that after this, it's probably the sun is setting. It's slipped behind the horizon. The clouds never really seem to have parted around this island, and night descends upon Undertow Isle. However, as we'll keep that perception check for you, Rodak, you do see that vultures had been circling before it got too dark for you to really see. You see the occasional star getting blotted out.
Annulin got him.
I really want to try something to get up this cliff, and I think it's a really dumb idea.
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know what it is,
So,
but
immovable rod. Could we theoretically do like the salmon ladder, where they have the rod and they,
Yes.
but you do it with the immovable rod and you just keep clicking it. So you click and then unclick, push up, click, and
Yeah,
you
it's
basically
like a
salmon ladder all the way up.
Test.
Yeah.
Like in Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, exactly. Could we do that? Does that work?
you know
Does it work
what?
like
You know
that?
what would also be really interesting though is if I made myself invisible, I got on the broom and I took the movable rod up to the top and I attached a rope to it, and then you guys climbed up the rope.
That sounds way more practical and a
I can
little bit
also
less
fly up there
fun.
as well.
Yeah.
I would say that would be something you could try, but given that the way that the salmon ladder works is that you're
The
pushing
salmon
off of
ladder.
something. That's what he called it, right?
That's what it's called.
Yeah, the salmon ladder is that you're pushing off of something.
Salmon
So
ladder.
if you click it, you have nothing. You could try to and no,
I
I guess
see what you
actually
mean.
no, I guess technically you
Yeah,
could.
you pull and
Yeah.
you pull, push, pull. It would take ridiculous. It would have to be like an athletics and an acrobatics check at the same time.
Yeah.
But it sounds amazing.
I think you could try that. It would require a lot of checks and potential bad ends, but it's D&D, it's fun, right?
Anyway, I don't think we have to do that right now. I just wanted to know. that.
So, how about this? I think Sylvie's idea was pretty good, although I would love to watch you try that at some point. I would pay to watch that, honestly. Why don't we... So my concern is that we need some kind of extra cover to do this. So why don't you take Annulin? Annulin can cast her magic. You two can be very stealthy, fly up there, we'll wait here, and then once the rope's down, the rest of us, you can come down and we can all climb together.
Works for me.
Sully, are you paying attention?
No, probably not. I'm looking into my ring to see what I cast into it yesterday. Sorry, I was just trying to write it down because I'd used it up.
Alright,
so I just
well,
wanted you to know that I
I'm gonna
cast
assume
third
she'll
level
do
and
that.
Fairy Fire at first level.
Spiritual weapon is second level, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do these two for now.
Great.
Oh, okay.
Just because
I was
we
just
were
saying.
like trying to go to sleep. So.
Sure, but if you want it, I did have a spare slot for it. Okay, if you wanted it.
I will definitely put it in there again for some more sound and flail.
Okay.
How tall's the glyph, by the way?
I say it's probably a good, probably good 50 feet. All my cliffs are 50 feet.
They're all.
I have no concept of distance or height or anything, so it's all non-canon. It's just whatever I need it to be, and that's what it is.
I have to admit,
Or time.
I liked it when you were describing how far away we were from the entrance. You're like, it's a couple hundred feet, or maybe a couple miles. Like
No, I said hundreds of feet. I just said hundreds of feet. Like, oh no, it would have been like, well, it'd be thousands of feet.
Yeah, a couple miles is like 10,000.
Yeah, yeah, no, it would have been no. It wouldn't be.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, what are you guys doing?
So I think.
Yeah, they're gonna fly up.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast my stealthy thing on everyone.
Cast without a
and then
trace.
she's gonna fly us up.
Okay.
Again.
Oh, I'm gonna fly everyone up.
So it only works around Annulin. So you and Annulin are gonna go up to the top in like a shadowy cloud. You're gonna immovable rod with the rope.
She can just invisible, right?
Yeah,
Oh right.
yeah, and all the things I'm carrying.
Well,
is
do you want
all
to use the
invisible.
spell slot if we have to use it anyway in the last an hour?
Yeah, I can.
You can what?
She
Use
gets
the spell slot.
She gets her spells back on a short rest. Anyone doesn't get them back till a long rest. Just saying.
But can she make all of us? I think we eventually need it. At
The
some
point is, we're just saying Sylvie
No,
goes
I
up,
can't make all of you invisible.
puts the rope down.
Right.
I can make
Do
it
we
most.
need the stealth out of this cave?
I can make it most
Out of
2
this thing?
people invisible.
I would say,
But
given
more
the
than
amount
that.
of vultures and the ship, we probably need some kind of extra cover.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just saying, do we need the invisibility? So we have to use pass. I think we should use pass without a trace either way to get us all up there.
West
But then-
Coast
but then-
asks a very great question. The ropes from the crooks have been pulled back up.
Yeah, I figured that because I
Yeah.
specifically asked
Yeah.
about that when
Yeah.
I kind of figured.
I forgot I didn't say that. I should have. My bad.
My bad.
No,
I figured you would have said
my
they were still
point
hanging.
is, if
Oh, I thought you
Annulin,
mentioned it.
if Annulin has to be with us, then whoever's left at the top, like what people would just if I fly someone up, then all of a sudden there's someone just floating through the air in mystical beings, and then all of a sudden they're in a cloud of smoke. Like you can't both be in the same place at the same time. And if she stays on the broom with me, then whoever's left at top is completely
Alright, then
just
you go
open.
invisible. You
So
hold on
my-
to the rope
my
so that's
point
invisible, and then we'll climb the invisible rope.
Yeah, that's my point. I'll just hold on to the rope and the immovable rod, and I'll just kind of float
Alright,
there
that
invisible.
sounds even better.
And then you guys just all stay with her in her shroud of darkness until you get up to the top, and then I'll click it open, put it in your pack, and we'll all be inside of her thing, and we'll just go.
Alright.
Does that make sense?
How much weight can the broom hold?
Room is
250
500,
500.
500 for 250 for half speed, 500 total before it.
Yeah,
So what are we holding the rope with?
the immovable rod.
Oh, okay.
So I'm basically just going to be holding it in my hands because anything I'm holding is invisible.
Oh, but
So
it's
that
still
makes it-
anchored to the
But
rod.
it's still anchored.
Got it.
It's just, you guys are just going to have to really trust me when I tell you where that rope is. Because you're not going to be able to see it.
We'll try. We'll
Okay.
try.
So, Sylvia, I'd like you to. Oh, you're invisible. I'd like you to make a stealth check with advantage because you're unseen.
Okay, let me cast invisibility real quick.
Okay.
Maybe. Sorry.
Matthias actually gave the choosing
and
class
stealth
to
at
one of
advantage.
Tyler.
Natural 20 pickle Rick with so 23.
Sylvie grabs the movable rod in one hand, the broom in the other, casts invisibility, all of it disappears. You fly up. As you fly out of the cave, you get a better sense that there are vultures circling around the sky above the cave.
Okay. So keeping Lumi, I'm going to mentally have Lumi go over to Avantris
Okay.
And I'm just going to telepathically tell her, I know you don't like speaking to them, but you need to talk to him for me because if I'm blind and deaf right now, it could be very dangerous. So I need you to talk to him, Lumi, okay? Just use your words. And I'm going to tell her to go to Avantris and perch on his shoulder and give him directions as I'm kind of telling them what to do, where to go, where it's at.
Yep.
I'm going to try and find a place that's a little, like, almost shrouded as much as possible from the things up top and have them go do the stuff.
Okay, great. So you tell Lumi to do that. She's a little bit hesitant. I don't think she's ever directly spoken. She's never spoken to anyone in the party before. So she reluctantly agrees as she understands how dangerous the situation is. Okay. So, anyone's casting?
Yeah, or if we're ready to start climbing.
Assuming Lumi came and told us that we're ready to go.
She's staying on Avantris and she's just going to give the play-by-play instructions.
Holy crap, you can talk?
She can talk.
What does she sound like? I can't hear her.
She refuses to respond to anything you say that Sylvie doesn't tell her to tell you.
It's indescribable, and I'll never be able to tell any of you what it actually sounds like. It's amazing.
Is it horrific? So,
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Okay, so we everyone gets a +10 bonus to a dex stealth.
I mean, everyone to get Vantage has it with advantage with his cloak all the time, and then everybody gets +10. So everyone roll stealth, please. Anilin, you channel your nature magic. You call upon the power of the night to shroud a radius around you in pitch black.
I got 38.
11, 12, 22.
17.
Wow.
I got a 30.
Okay. Everybody, please make your way out.
Okay, we follow Vandris and he finds the rope and we begin to climb an invisible rope.
So, and you can put it like right at the face of the cliff there, right?
Yeah, it's coming right. I would imagine it's coming down the face of the cliff.
I mean, that was the thing, is I wanted to make it in a place where, right at the base of the cliff is coming.
Like, so where they can just grab up and, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds,
Rappel up.
sounds good. I'm just gonna...
Cave of the mouth.
Cave of the mouth, as they say. So you are...
Would it be possible for them to just grab onto it, and then I could, like, somehow anchor it to the broom in a way that I could just kind of fly up and then drop them on the cliff while they're all holding onto it together?
Would be way too heavy,
Like
though.
a crane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
The
two full
broom
sets
can
of
only-
plate.
Yeah, the broom can only
Yeah.
pick 500 pounds, and it's like 5 of us.
Yeah.
And if they weren't wearing plate, then maybe, but like that's really fucking heavy. So you guys are able to climb, and you notice you're keeping an eye on the circling vultures. You notice there's a little bit of a hesitation. You think that maybe Rodek is still not being as stealthy as he could be. Maybe a bit of moonlight glints off of his armor, but you do manage to make it to the top of the cliff. And although it is cloudy, the moon is probably close to full because I don't really care about that either. It's what I need it to be. As soon as you reach the top of the cliff, that same peaty smell hits you as the wind shifts, blowing in your direction. Jagged, rocky terrain slopes downward from where you stand, down inland. But not too far from where you are, you see the expansive swamp that the crooks had likely referred to as the Cudgelmire. It seems to stretch around the entire island, and the dense trees and overgrowth stretching erratically out of the murky bog water. And then, of course, rising in the distance, the single looming mountain at the center of the island. Forlorn and nearly sparse, aside from a ring of dead and withered forests clinging to its steep slopes, and halfway up to about halfway up its height, and then nothing but treacherous crags patched with brambles. Continuing all the way up, or at its peak, perched almost precariously, is the ruin of an enormous and seemingly ancient fortress. Black-winged shapes shimmer in the moonlight as they circle all around the island.
Is there any cover at all?
Before getting into the swamp, no. It is all... You might be able to find a little craggy outcropping or something, or get into a little crevice or a ravine. That might be a way to do that.
So can you point on the map of the island, like where each kind of section of terrain is?
So this is the swamp here, or this is the swamp?
This is all the swamp.
Okay.
And so you guys are about here. This is all this craggy land out here. I didn't color anything specific. So like you're about here, and it's all of this craggy ravine, and then you're going down into the swamp to basically go.
So we have to come here.
Yeah.
So this has no cover, but then this is the swamp.
Yeah. And you might be able to find a ravine or a crevice or a little,
Then this is the dead forest.
Yeah.
Higher up, and then this would just be the crags and the brambles.
And the brambles, yep.
And then this would be the fortress in the middle here.
Yep.
So like, is it the dead forest and then going up towards the fortress? Is that like mountainous or?
Yeah, it's all mountainous all the way up. So basically,
Okay.
once it gets out of the swamp, rising up, this dormant or extinct, or you're not really sure, volcano is very steep, very treacherous, mountainous. Once it basically comes out of that swamp, and then it's just that dead forest that goes about halfway up, and then the crags and the brambles.
Okay, look.
Well, given that there's no cover, I think we have to move. Get in the swamp.
Sure.
So we hustle
Okay.
towards the
So,
swamp.
do you want to roll another stealth with the bonus plus advantage because you're invisible?
Okay. It's worse than before.
But with the plus 10 bonus, it might
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be more.
27.
Yeah, 27.
27,
Yes,
okay.
We can count. I
Yeah,
can
so
count.
you're way more stealthy than Rodek. You all hoof it. It probably takes you about an hour and a half, 2 hours to make your way down this treacherous area. Maybe a little bit longer, but you do eventually get to the swamp here. And let me pull this up real quick. Shoot. So
Do we see any vultures overhead of the swamp?
they make a perception check, actually. 19. You look up, it is dark. It's very dark, although the moon is out and you can't really see all the vultures against the black sky. You do seem to get the sense that they're congregating around the coast and the sea, and the vultures basically leaving the fortress and leaving. You see that they are coming to and from the area of rocky brambly patches. There seems to be like a congregation that a lot of where the vultures are coming from is in that area. And then a lot going down towards the direction of Gangplank. So, but there don't seem to be ones monitoring, and you can probably get the sense why. Before you, as you finally get to the swamp, is a tangled domain of mud, water, tree trunk, vine, root, and underbrush. The gaseous stench is a fact of life here, and the sprawling waterways are stagnant and almost entirely overrun with algae. Swarms of strange-looking insects buzz about as you hear the distant cries of mournful birds and the low song of croaking frogs. Even with this bright moon, and even if it was probably midday, beneath the dense canopy of trees, it's so thick, it's a world of darkness regardless. Only the faintest rays of moonlight, and you could probably guess sunlight, would be able to make it through the foliage. What do you want to do?
Well, I guess we get in.
I'm right behind you, pal.
So, go ahead.
So I would say let's just be aware, because they did say that there was no way we would go through this. So I'm guessing that there's some kind of danger in this swamp.
Why I would volunteer to go in front or at the head of the group, because I can move through difficult terrain and whatnot without getting snagged.
Okay.
I think that's great. Yeah, if you could be our guide, you just do the whole ranger thing and make sure we don't fall in any, what do they call it? The tar pit? What's the sand?
Quicksand?
Quicksand. That's in all the movies, and like it's never a big deal. Like, you think as an adult it's like a real problem, but anyway.
Quicksand?
What's that? Quicksand.
Quicksand?
Is quicksand even real?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
I just, as a
It's-
kid, I was
it's a real
horrified.
thing.
Like, oh god, when I grow up, I don't want to die from quicksand.
For the record, water walk works on quicksand.
Is
Oh.
it really?
Yeah, it
So
does.
it's water, right?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Such as water, acid, mud, snow, quicksand.
Yeah, it's not like you would imagine quicksand to be like in a movie, but it's mostly like a water material that you can't like. It's like super mud.
It's
Okay.
you know the sand on a beach that's like in between where the tide goes in and out. It's really
Yep.
really wet and waterlogged.
Yeah.
That's quicksand.
Okay, interesting.
It's just a lot of that, and so that when you step on it, it turns into water. Like the sand is suspended, so you sink through it.
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point, the pressure gets too much and it turns back into solid, and that's why it's hard to get out of it.
So it has to do with like surface tension and like
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
It's,
don't
it's a,
stop giving him ideas.
Well, I mean, we can walk on top of it if we want.
Oh, true.
If
it's
we
like
want,
a suspension
I-
fluid.
I
or
did
something,
prepare a
it's
water
suspension
walk again,
solid.
so I can just cast it. I can just keep casting it.
Every 10 minutes.
So for
Okay,
your,
so
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you
I
go.
was just gonna say, I'm gonna proceed stealthily in front of the group and just kind of keep. I guess did we track a route here? Are we just making our way towards the
Yeah, you guys haven't told me where you are.
mountainy? I assume we're going towards where that fort is. That's where Avantris wanted to go, right?
Well,
So-
we're trying to go here, but
And or check out the volcano where potentially Orpheus is stashing himself.
Is it our sense that going up the whole volcano to the fortress would be like a much bigger task
Yes.
than?
Yeah.
That's
So
why I was saying we basically have to make a choice. We can't do
Right.
it.
Well, so this is my thought, right? If Orpheus is we're fucked either way. But if Orpheus is
Go
still
on.
here, if we go straight up there, then he has the entire forces of this King Krem behind him, and then it's us against King Krem and his fortresses and Orpheus.
yes.
right.
So going and dealing with King Krem and making him and removing that ally from Dragonborn guy. Orpheus. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second.
He's not a dragon.
Well, he is now.
Tiana's a tiefling.
This is a Genasi.
Blue tiefling.
Anyway, I think removing another ally from his bank is a good bet, and hopefully we can do it sneakily enough that he doesn't catch wind of it, and then we have a chance at least getting a stab in or something on him.
So I think that's wise. I think that's probably the best course of action if we try to weaken his forces by attacking Gangplank. We may be better off, but I do fear that he will escape. He'll know. There's no way he won't know. But
I mean,
I agree with you. Attacking him head on is probably
Yeah.
foolish.
I think that's the problem. Is it's kind of what he does. He just blinks out of existence and goes somewhere else. But if he's going to continue to do that, as long as we're removing his alliances along the way, he at least has to continue to try and make more alliances, and is at least a waste of his time at the very least.
And right now, at this point, I think we don't have a good way to get up the volcano. And
No.
Right.
once we get down there, we may have some way to get back up there.
And let's be real, we need to go to that place one way or another because that's where the boats are, and we don't have a boat right now.
Oh, and maybe we can get a second boat, and you can give it to the ex-girlfriend of yours or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
the mean one.
Yeah. That,
Oh, did we wanna look to see if the jars were still there?
Well, we didn't, and we're already in the muck, so no, I guess not.
I guess not.
I mean, that would have been a big detour with
Yeah.
under the watch of vultures and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then let's head to Gangplank. Let's keep our bags of wits about us.
Yeah, please.
And
Yeah.
keep
I
our
get
eye
mine
on
out.
the potential danger that Annulin may seek. Let's try to move quickly and stealthily.
Okay, so you're gonna go around the north side of the island towards Gangplank.
Yeah,
Yes.
up around the snoot.
Was there any sense one way or the other of like, so we're here, or we're
That's
here?
going to be the most direct route.
Yeah, because you have to understand, because this is facing, you could probably cut under here and get a little bit closer and just be more direct.
Would we have that understanding given sort of the chart that Matthias drew?
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
guys.
We circled the thing. For
Yeah,
the most part.
we
We came
circled
from
with him
around
as
that
he
way
was
and went
running.
around.
Yeah, we've been all around the
Yeah,
island.
I would
It's
say that
except this
I would
stuff.
say that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ganji, even if it wasn't explicitly stated, I'm ruling that Ganji, he's the artist of the group. He would have sketched whatever Matthias had given him, or he would have
Okay.
taken it.
Got it.
So you guys would have a general layout of the, not the full topography or whatever, but a general idea of where you're going. So
Okay.
before you is the swamp that is just as much waterway as it is patches of bog and the like. So
maybe you should cast that water walking.
Do we want to take a 10-minute break to make the next 50 minutes a lot easier? The next 60 minutes.
Yeah, can we just basically Genji keeps out water?
So yeah, if you guys want to do it where you're kind of just walking along the water and whatever, and you don't have to worry about it, then yeah, you can just basically say you're casting water walking every 10 minutes, and you're doing it every hour for 10 minutes every hour, just to make sure that everything's Genji's keeping track of that. And so you make your way into the Cudgel Mine, and in order to do this, we are going to do a skill challenge. And so I would like. So the way that this works, we've done a little bit about this before, it's a little bit different. That we are not going to lock it based on what you're proficient in. Any skill that you have, you basically suggest how you're going to use one of your skills to aid the journey. And this is standard swamp fare. And you have to pitch it to me. I'll set a DC, you roll with it, and add your proficiency if you want to, and then...
If you're proficient.
If you're proficient. And then we'll see what happens.
So this is strictly our best guess on how we can help get through the swamp.
Yep.
Okay, question. Can we see the sky at all?
There are slight patches where you'd be able to see the sky, but it is very dense canopy.
Can I do either a nature or a survival check to try to look at the stars and navigate by the stars to get us a shortest path? Since we know generally what the layout is with the little chart that I have of generally what direction we should be going in compass-wise.
Okay. I would say given that explanation, you can choose nature or survival.
Okay. I will do survival because it is better.
And you can also, if anyone also wants to try that survival check or whatever and pitch it to me, depending on the character and who it is, that'll change the DC, but anybody can suggest anything. You can only use your skill once.
With Annulin in the lead, I want to be close to her but behind and use my perception or investigation to help her act as a second set of eyes to help her just point things out that may be potential traps or dangerous area.
Okay, so we're going to resolve Genji's first.
Only an 8.
An 8. So you are trying to see through the bits of the trees in order to get a sense of the stars, but the clouds are starting to roll in a little bit, and the the trees are so dense that it's difficult, and you're doing the best you can, but you're not sure if you're guiding anything. And as you're kind of walking through the swamp, you notice that the sounds of the birds and the frogs that I mentioned previously are mixed with all sorts of strange rustlings, growls, yelps, things, the stuff of horrible nightmares. You get the sense that this swamp is very much alive. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to roll a d4, and you're going to roll this d4 and just do d4 plus 1.
Okay, so I wanted to ask this before, but maybe you can't tell us anyway. Is it bad of us to try something and fail? Is it just a thing that we can keep trying things?
We'll say a number of successes will get you to Gangplank.
Okay, as long as we can think of ways
and so
to
the more that you fail, the higher chance of something happening.
Okay.
1d4 plus 1%
4.
chance of happening.
5.
So 5.
Okay, so we'll just leave this out here.
That could be really bad or really good.
Really good.
Okay.
Well, now I don't want to try anything anymore.
You got to get there, though. Avantris.
So, does it make more sense for me to use investigation or perception?
Why don't you choose and then pitch it to me how it's going to be different?
Okay, I think investigation is best because I'm actively looking for potential pitfalls or things that we might get hooked on. Just acting as a second pair of eyes, obviously not as good as Annulin, but if she's focused on leading, I want to also help keep an eye out for potential pitfalls.
Okay. Roll an investigation check.
And I just roll it like normal where I add my investigation.
Yeah, whatever your investigation score is. Yep.
20 total.
20 total. You, although Annulin is your guide through these marshes, aided by Ganges water walking, you are doing your... you're applying your city bounty hunting investigation to the principles of a swamp the best that you can, and you feel like you're doing a pretty good job. You do locate some areas of roots, branches, some strange shapes lurking out where you guys may want to avoid stumbling into a lair of a creature or something, and you seem that you're avoiding some of the dangers there. Okay.
I would.
So-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? What would you say is like the biggest like struggle that we're having getting through this area right now as a group?
So probably the biggest struggle overall would be how dense and thick. It's gnarled roots, branches hanging down, all sorts of overgrowth. Basically having to duck and weave, going over the water is definitely helping you, and just walking over the water is helping you do that a lot quicker. But it's still, there are roots coming out, logs floating. It's just not like a jaunty march. The terrain is uneven. So that would probably be the biggest hurdle there.
Can you
Okay,
help
you
put
go
us
ahead,
the path?
Yeah, so I would like to use athletics to try to basically clear the path either with my axe, because that's pretty good for chopping, or like lifting stumps out of the way, and just clearing the foliage out.
Make an athletics check.
Well, it wasn't a 1, but 10.
10. So you are doing the best you can to heave logs out of the way, but some of this stuff is so incredibly huge and ancient that you're struggling sometimes to kind of put your brute force into it, and it's slowing you down a little
Oh,
bit.
should we be rolling this, by the way?
No, only when you fail.
Okay.
Only when you fail. And so, as that was a failure, now you roll 2d4 plus 2.
Ooh.
Oh no!
And the number here is 13. Lucky number 13.
9.
7, 8, 9.
11.
No.
Oh, no, plus 2, sorry.
9.
9.
So as you are slowed down a little bit, you start to notice that you get the sense that there are eyes on you. You get the sense that there might be something. Every time you look and turn, you don't see anything in the darkness, but you get a sense that there's something watching you. Okay.
Okay. So as we are weaving our way through this like gnarled swamp, whatever, I would use my nature skill to identify, I guess, just like growth patterns that I would know about of different plants and things that might be more pliable or easy to bend or cut through for Rodek, and just try to find like the easiest path going through here.
Okay. I would say make a nature check with advantage, given that you're a ranger.
I'll leave my sound on so you can hear me roll.
Yes!
Yeah.
rolling dice!
Roll porn!
Okay, so
That's
that
only
would
rats.
be a 15.
15. So, with the help of Avantris towards the lead, you use your knowledge of nature, and although you're used to mainly, at least you were trained and grew up in forests and a little bit towards mountains, the principles of nature are the same. You're noticing some sort of plants and fungi that are a little bit more dangerous, things that you had remembered from your studies as a ranger, and you're able to avoid a lot of that danger, picking up the pace a little bit after that. Okay, that is another success.
And so we can't use something somebody's already done.
No,
Yeah, we can do whatever.
Okay.
as long as you haven't done it.
Okay. So I have an ability as a gnome, speak with small beasts.
Okay.
Could I utilize that and maybe my persuasion skill to try and find a small creature that could kind of help guide us through a safe passage?
What's the creature, and what are you saying to the creature?
Well, what are the...
So you look around, and it is anything from dragonflies, mosquitoes. You see a little possum walking by, frogs, little fish swimming around. Basically anything you could.
I'm gonna
picture
try
in
and
a swamp.
find one of the little possums because they're agile. And...
Okay. Why don't, and this won't be relevant, why don't you just make a general perception check to see if you can find a possum?
I can't. Probably.
We'll say you can find it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
8.
matter. I don't know why you guys. Yeah, that's fine. The DC was 5. You find a little possum in a tree, scampering along a branch, and you're gonna shout out to it.
I don't know. I thought I was just doing a skill check.
Yeah. So you need to sell it. Like, what do you
Persuade
say
the
to the
possum.
possum? You gotta tell me why it's persuading. What is it gonna?
I don't know. Will you help us find our way? I don't know. I've never done this before.
Make a persuasion.
24.
Okay. You use your ability as a gnome to speak with the little possum, and having spoken with possums before in your home of Bog Possum, you are able to actually get a sense of recognition from the little possum, and it leaps off of the branch and scampers through the underbrush and guides you to a little bit of a shortcut that helps avoid a lot of the thick underbrush and overgrowth. So that would be another success. Okay. What else we got?
Where, roughly how far are we so far?
So you all are probably getting to about halfway through this swamp.
Can you point on the map?
Oh.
So you guys are probably like about yay here. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell, but you're probably in this general area.
So, like, are we approaching the edge of, like, where the dead foresty stuff starts? Like, does the terrain change?
There is swamp that kind of goes up a little bit. You're not getting as far up the mountain to kind of get to that forest. The terrain isn't changing. You're still in the swamp.
Okay.
I would like to try to stay in the back and just perceive of any like creatures that might be either eyeing us or like sneaking up on us, especially over water, like looking for crocodiles or alligators or any kind of predators, to try to spot them and avoid them if possible.
Okay.
Not great. 14.
14. You are staying towards the back and keeping an eye out for dangerous creatures. And as you're looking around, you are able to spot a few lurking crocodiles or alligators or something, some strange looking snakes, and you see the shape of a very large beast that doesn't seem to be like that close to you, but you see that you kind of get the sense, and you are able to alert the party and kind of hopefully divert your path away from them.
I've got one.
Okay?
I'd like to attempt to recall any stories or knowledge that I would have picked up from people that I interacted with in Gullhaven, as my time as a bounty hunter, to anybody that I might have met who had been here before, and like just told me about the area or stories about it or any kind of knowledge I might have about the island.
So which skill would that be?
I have literally no idea.
So history?
I have a history check. I don't know if that's a good one.
I was gonna try history next.
Well, your history's probably better than mine. I was just
I was gonna take a different angle anyway.
We'll say you can attempt to make a history check for that.
Here goes nothing. I probably don't roll much better than this. So I'm rolled a 14. My history's only +2, so I got a 16.
16. You try to think back on your time in Gullhaven and think about kind of the people that you dealt with, but unfortunately most of the people that you had dealt with were mostly city slickers, people that had lived in either farming towns at the very least, not much of the wilderness trackers. So nothing really helps. You kind of think of something that you remember, but that actually probably wasn't the best advice. Maybe you heard of a great ranger adventurer in the wild who may have ended up being lying, took of some of his bad advice, and we're going to roll 3d4 plus 3.
Should Vandris roll?
Vandris, do you have a d4?
I have 2 of them.
So just roll, 3d4 plus 3.
Jesus, Lord 4 plus 1 more is another 3, which is 7, plus 3 is 10. 2, 2, 3, 3.
Okay. Yep. 10. Okay.
Okay.
So, as you get deeper and deeper into the swamp, you kind of hear around this. You've heard kind of buzzing of flies and swarming insects, but you're hearing very, very loud buzzing. You do remember hearing something like the buzzing of the wasp creatures that they had. These sound even, whatever's creating this sound very much larger. You look around trying to find it, but you get the sense that there are some huge insects here.
Anulin, will you just shoot me right in the eye, please?
I'll do you one better. So hearing this buzzing and like all the other little critter sounds that I'm hearing, I'm thinking back on my time in the woods and trying to remember like little survival tips about like making like, you know, when to make noises to scare something off and like when to, you know, when we should be giving it a wide berth, and I'm using all my survival knowledge to like avoid any interactions that might be coming up on us.
Okay. So you make a survival check.
14.
14. With your inherent knowledge of kind of being a survivalist and being basically basic tips, once again, is kind of similar to your knowledge of nature, but basically tips and tricks of staying dry, when to make a fire when you need to rest, and the like. And kind of when you should hack through, when you should go under roots, go over, etc. Those things all help kind of speed up your path.
Are we sleeping through any of this?
So it has probably not been a. Given your progress is probably approaching, the sun has come up at this point, and it is. So you can probably go. If you're huffing it, you can go how many miles in a day? Like 30 miles in a day. Probably more than that, right?
I don't know. I mean, based on our speed, right? But we're like not going at maximum speed.
Yeah. So I'll say that you're probably, after that success, you're probably approaching the end of the first day.
Okay.
And so we'll just say you camp out, and that's fine, and then you'll continue. Okay? Yeah, not through swamp, that's true. So it's taking you a little bit longer. So, okay, the next day you guys camp out, everything's fine, and then let's, what do we got?
1 second.
So we take but camp out. Is that a long rest?
Yeah, it's a long rest.
Try and get them hit dice back.
Oh baby.
I'm switching up my spells.
I
would have added another fairy fire, by the way, capping out my ring.
Okay. Another fairy fire is in your ring. What do we got, guys?
Okay, I got a couple things to try.
go for it. Your history check, right?
Yeah, but I have a couple other things too. First, I'm going to do the thing for my best score, which is medicine, which is going to be tricky. But I'm assuming that if we're hoofing it, especially if we've already camped out a day,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that we're going to like bash into stuff, like Rodek's trying to clear the path and shit.
Mhm.
I'm going to guess we're going to have accumulated a few cuts and scrapes. So I'm going to try to use medicine to bandage us up a little better so that we can move a little faster
Okay.
after that first day.
So, like, when someone does get a little scrape, you're just kind of quickly bandaging
Right.
them rather than sort of taking the time to, like, short rest.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, make a medicine check.
I hate that. No. Does that count? It slipped out of my hand.
I would say it doesn't count.
Okay, sorry. I was going to pick it
Yeah,
up.
it wasn't a
and
roll.
it.
It wasn't a roll.
Oh, I got the same thing anyway, so great. It's a 12.
It's a 12. Unfortunately, you're trying to kind of patch up things, but I think that the party is doing a decent job kind of staying uninjured at this point. There are a little bit of scrapes and bruises here, but maybe your insistence to try to patch them up might be slowing things down a little bit, overbearing.
Fuck.
So you're going to roll
God, Gage, I'm
4
fine.
4d4 plus 4.
It's my best bonus. What can I say?
I know. Nice, low rolls.
Oh wow.
So 2, 4, 8, 12.
12. You, as Ganji's kind of fumbling with his bandages a little bit, and you guys pick up the pace, you start to hear kind of off in the swamp low growling. That's starting to get a little bit louder than what you had been seeing previous. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm rolling like shit. Does anyone else have anything else before I try my other bullshit? Because
I unfortunately don't have a lot of skills that are pertinent to slinking through a swamp. I don't really know how I can use my stealthiness or persuasion or deception in a swamp.
Because I'm just saying, like, my other ideas are not as good, and that wasn't a good idea to begin with, so they're likely to have a higher DC.
I have something I could try, but I don't know. I actually am not even totally sure if it's the right role for it.
Okay.
But,
What is it?
so just like as we're going along, like we've been in this really like stinky ass swamp, and it's been for like a day. We're tired, so I'm gonna try to like use my insight. I hope that would be the right thing to pick up on like the emotions of the group, and like Rodek's feeling kind of down, so I'm like, hey buddy, cheer up. We're gonna be out of this really stinky
So
swamp.
you're trying to keep you're trying to
Like,
Maintain
Yeah,
morale.
and, like Sylvie seems kind of scared by like all the animal noises. I'm like, it's okay. Like little animals love you. Like we're
Or she misses the
fine.
possum, you know? That possum that
Yeah.
helped.
Oh, she kept that
I just,
possum.
I'm just trying to like pick up on the emotions and get people through the swamp.
Okay.
It's totally.
Yeah, feel free to roll a morale insight check.
I did come up with a decent one after she's done.
17.
Oh.
17. With that, you're trying to get people to chipper up, and their morale does seem to be a little bit low. But unfortunately, it seems as if you are able to pick up on it, but it might be picking up on it is one thing. Actually, kind of delivering the calming advice is another. So it doesn't quite help as much as you were hoping.
Oh, shit.
So the best that you can do now is 3 1s and 2 2s.
So 5d4 plus 4.
I'm just gonna roll it here. It doesn't
Well,
count.
should-
But
okay.
no, she's rolling it. I'm
Okay.
just curious.
That would do it.
Yeah, that would be it for us. But let's see what it actually
I'm
does.
gonna say these while I run.
3 1s and 2 2s is the most you can roll.
Got a 1 and a 1,
Okay.
Wow.
a 1 and a 3.
No!
If she gets another 1, though, it counts.
A 3.
Oh.
Damn it!
So you hit 13. That's lucky number 13. So
I'm just curious, just because we didn't really talk about it. Would there have been any point in here where I could have used Bardic Inspiration? Because we haven't really. We like almost don't have onus of our characters as to other things that we could do, but like it's a bonus action. So I'm just curious, like would I have been able to like inspire other people since I'm not good at these kind of things?
I would say that you could do that as a performance check to help the group. So like you're going to use your bonus action. You're going to use your Bardic Inspiration in order to inspire people to do other things, and that would be basically a straight performance check, right? Or something. Or like,
I'm just wondering because my Bardic Inspiration actually adds to their die. So if I could do my Bardic Inspiration, that could have helped Annalyn to pass on her thing. Whereas if I'm just rolling to use it, I might be wasting.
I would say
Bardic
because this is
Inspiration.
more of like a skill challenge, that would basically be like a blanket skill check that would basically get another notch in the thing that would basically apply to help you move along that much further, that much more efficiently.
Okay.
So basically that would be like another way that you could use your skills in your skill challenge.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
And so
I was thinking about spells. That was one of my ideas.
let me just say this. So upon turning a bend in the fen, you hear the snapping and gnashing. Sounds particularly disgusting, and this fishy smell hangs in the air. And slung over an enormous root is what looks to be a catfish like the size of a dolphin. Flanked on either side of these are gigantic dark blue insectoid creatures, each with 4 elongated wings and a lengthy, slender, curved tail pointed out with some barb at the end of it, like 2 enormous, monstrous dragonflies. Your presence is immediately noticed by both creatures, turning from their catch. And with a cacophonous buzzing sound, they take off into the air and rocket towards you. And it's at this moment you hear what has been tracking you this entire time decides to strike. One large black feline creature pounces out of the shadows, but where a tail would normally be are 9 long tendrils with snapping mouths at the end. Their greasy black fur punctuated by bulbous pustules filled with sticky green fluid, and each fang is dripping with a mottled yellow liquid, and it lets out a horrific roar. Everyone roll for initiative.
Oh, fuck.
I got a 17, and can we take just a brief
Yeah.
break while everyone's getting set up, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna take the dog out.
Quick break. Yep.
Yeah.
Quick break, guys. I'm just gonna put up some battle music here.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a drink.
I'm gonna run upstairs real quick.
Should we take a quick little
Yeah, we'll take
quick
a
break?
Quick break.
I got a
Right.
15 for the record.
And then we'll have some combat.
Yeah.
15 for the record.
So, how's everybody doing? I'll reveal the map while we're here. Why not?
A seltzer could be good. I got a 19, by the way.
19? Okay.
There's a giant catfish.
Wow. That's the catfish, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, let's say that's one.
Oh, jeez.
And I would say you guys are probably, I don't know, around here somewhere, and then this will be here, and we can like reposition if you want.
I was towards the back. Anilin is up front. Vanders was nearby. We can put, yeah, I'm still in the dead center. So what, can you explain, like, what are these different things?
Oh, so, I mean, I can explain that over here. The green stuff are just roots of trees, just so
Okay.
it's space, and like just trunks and the like. And then this is water.
Got it.
These are like little patches of land. But because you all have water walking, it doesn't really matter, frankly.
Got it. I'm going to go grab a drink, use the bathroom.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. How's everybody doing tonight? Everyone's doing good? And that resets. Guess we'll stop this.
Safeway?
guys go in first
Yeah.
since you're around.
What are you guys talking about?
What? Oh, cream puffs from Safeway.
Oh, yeah. Cream puffs from Safeway.
Naturally.
We're sponsored by Safeway Cream Puffs.
The bakery section.
Baccarat.
Are those the old
Okay.
spell cards
Huh?
being busted back out?
Yeah, because I don't have any information for Lumi.
Really?
So I've been, because this was all I had for Lumi, and it's not in D&D Beyond. So I haven't had any way to, like, track
Do you not
anything
have that
she
old
can
card?
do. Huh?
Do you not have that old card that I gave?
No, because I transferred it to these. It's just these were upstairs, so I haven't had it down here because we haven't actually had to use her. So I just ran and got them.
Okay. So, Marvel Puzzle Quest is you can play as Thor and the Incredible Hulk. It'll never get old, you guys.
Never. As I'm a little behind on Critical Role.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's kept up.
I'm really behind.
I'm the only one that's kept up.
I'll
Is anyone
probably
still
keep up.
watching? You know, I mean, chime in with your favorite character. We all know who it is.
Jester.
Jester a Bester. Although, to be fair, there's this one scene that's like spoilers where it's not Caleb and Fjord. It's like the scene where Not sneaks into the room. And there's been a couple of animatics about it. And like the role playing is like so unbelievably god tier and like organic and natural. I'm like, I hope to one day be close to that good.
They're good. They're pros. You take classes, you know, they do.
That's
the
true.
Improv classes.
That's true. I could take classes. I could use those. I don't know if they have any good ones in the area.
I'm sure they must.
sure they
somewhere.
do.
Yeah, that's true. Probably in Arlington, actually. Probably like by my office. You guys want to sign up for improv classes together?
Let's do it.
Ugh. Did you see the guys, Andy?
Oh, here. Well, we'll wait for Kelsey
And
back.
the
Yeah.
haunt roll has reset, so
The haunt roll.
I kind of fucking hooked.
you guys are just fucked constantly.
It did feel very like House on the Hill that is haunted.
Yeah, that was the intention. You can thank Derek for that little gaminess. Modified from our adventures in his campaign. But
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
I think he's playing board games right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll watch this, though.
Yeah. So when you're watching this tomorrow, Derek, I'm giving you a shout out now. So
What's supposed to be?
Oh, I didn't get the... Well, since we're waiting, I'm going to go grab some, like, the wipes to wipe it out.
Do we have any idea how far we are from where we think the place is?
it would be hard for you to get a sense exactly how far. You know that you're probably past halfway.
Okay.
That was gonna be my next skill check.
Well, you have an idea, rough sense, you know. Oh, as soon as anyone gets back, Rodette goes off like a dick.
Classic.
Ooh, I'm gonna have a sip. I'm gonna have a sip of the seltzer.
Have you thrown your hit point or your hit die amount?
I don't know what.
Wait, how many hit die you have?
Yeah,
Your
'cause-
level. So she has
So she has
eight.
8.
8 hit die.
What's that?
And what would be her die value?
Die value would be a D4, I believe, but it could be. Let me just double check for you here.
Yeah,
I
because
do
her
too.
hit points are 3d4 plus 3, so she would be a d4,
D4,
right?
yeah. And that would be plus con. I think that was just for
So
her
that's
first
plus
level.
3.
So the plus 3 might be higher. We can work that out. Okay. So I need actually initiative from everybody.
Scott's had a 15.
Yep.
I got a 19.
Okay. Holy shit.
You got a 17,
22.
Nikki?
No, I got a 9.
Oh, did Kels got a 17? Kels got a
22.
Yeah, Kel's got a 17.
19. Annulin 17. Vanish is a 22.
Genji 15.
Gandy's a 15. Monsters 1. It's weird with only 5 players these days. And then
It
Sylvie.
is weird.
And Monsters 2. Monsters. Okay. With that, you see these horrific looking dark blue dragonfly creatures with these
they have a proboscis, but it looks like their mouth is kind of screeching a lot wider than you'd expect it to the mouth to open. And then behind you, it's this pustulating, almost like sickly, disease-looking cat creature with these 9 horrific mutated tails. And with that, Avantris, you're up.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm really close to the beast. But I'm like a square off, I think.
This guy?
We'll say that you can get to range or whatever, just because.
This is all like I just randomly placed that, so feel free to if you want to whoever you want to be upon.
That's fine. Then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna yell at the group that I'm going for the beast, and I'll charge the cat.
The beast is upon him!
Okay.
Here.
Yep. And then I will attack.
Okay.
One-on-one style, with remembering Matthias and using his words of wisdom.
Rip.
May he rest in pieces.
Here's the art, by the way.
It's pretty
like,
creepy.
It's like a little cat with some little tails.
That's spooky. Okay, what time of day is it again? I forget.
It's probably morning-ish, late morning. Maybe mid-afternoon, lunchtime.
I rolled really poorly,
Okay.
so I'm feeling extra lucky right now. And
Okay.
I'd like to re-roll.
Okay.
That was much better. I got a 20 total.
Okay, you use a luck point and you manage to hit the creature. Roll damage. As this creature is almost mid-leap, you intercept it, sprinting after it, learning some of the fancy footwork that Matthias taught you, and you sink your rapier deep into its torso.
I rolled a total of a 29.
29 points of damage. Okay. It lets out this hiss as you lance. Your rapier does do a good amount of damage, but it also seems to lance one of this blister and acid sprays on you. Familiar, right? Can you make a dex saving throw for me?
Every evasion!
I would. That's my favorite thing in the world. So it's just a d20 plus my dexterity?
Dex saving throw.
So saving it's at the top.
Yeah, that was bad. I got a 12.
A 12. That is, you barely dodge out of the way of this acid that's spraying out of this pustule. Okay, Rodek, you're up. Unless you want to disengage or anything.
I think I'm out of movement.
I see old Vandy over here. I'm gonna turn, and I'll go. Oh shit! What the fuck is this? And as I attack, twice.
Okay.
Let's get crazy with the first one. Old power attack. 13 plus 3, so 16.
Hits.
Okay.
Roll damage.
Oh, I reroll that guy. 9 plus 5 is 14.
14 damage.
24, sorry.
24 damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll make another power attack. And then a 12 to hit?
And then misses. So you heave your axe, pulling up your dwarven strength, hacking once, and after it lets out this roar, make a dex saving throw.
Oh shit!
As you hack into its, you pass. You manage to dodge out of the way of the acid. It leaps back, its tails thrashing about as it misses the second attack. Annulin, you're up.
Okay, so seeing the 2 large dragonfly monstrosities in front of me, I'm going to back away from them.
Okay.
Like there?
Yeah. Yeah, wherever my movement would take me.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
I'm still in range, so I guess I can shoot her still because she's a little thing. So I'm going to fire 2 arrows, 1 at each of them.
Okay.
Bring on those creepy tails.
So that is a 20 and a 22 to hit.
Both hit.
Okay. I've forgotten don't have it pointed completely, I'm sorry. Where's my ACs? And... Okay. Alright, so that is an 8 and an 11.
So 8 to number 1, 11 to number 2?
Sure.
You, as these things are flittering after you, after leaving their enormous catfish meal, their mouths are starting to gape open very wide, and you, just to get a little bit of damage on each of them, you thunk, thunk, and hit both of them dead on. Not that difficult. Ganji, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to move this way,
Okay?
and I can probably hit them both in a line,
Yeah,
right?
I'd say you could.
Okay, lightning breath.
Okay.
So they make dex saves.
Okay, you got it. Point.
DC 14.
14?
Yeah.
Both fail.
Okay. They both take all of 12 lightning damage.
Ooh. 12, okay, 20, and then, as Annulin gets an arrow in each of them, you run to the side, hunker down, the crackling starts in your jaw as you almost unhinge, unleashing a zapping force. It jitters their wings, they start flooding around erratically, stopping them for just a second, and then they continue to go. And that would be both of Monsters 1, which are these guys. After getting blasted by one, gonna go here, and then going to go to Sylvie here, and both of them are going to let out this horrific shrieking sound, this bug-like shrieking sound. I need everyone to make a con saving throw, please.
Is this magic?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll say it's magic, please.
Uh, 20.
20.
12.
12. You probably get the sense that this was intended to fear all of you, but you guys just shrug it off. It's really not that scary. They're a bunch of giant fucking dragonflies. Are you serious? With that, one is going to make a bite against Sylvie and completely miss, and then it's going to come back around with this horrible stinger, and that is going to hit. The stinger goes into Sylvie's armor a little bit, dealing 6 points of piercing damage. And can you make a con saving throw for me?
Is it magic?
No.
8.
8. You start to feel the poison seep into you. You are poisoned for 1 minute. And at the end of your turn, you can make the saving throw repeatedly. And with that, it's Sylvie's turn. Sylvie, because you feel the poison start to rack you, it does 7 points of poison damage. And now you can enjoy a turn.
I will shoot Eldritch Blast in front of the one in front of Ganji.
Okay, number 1.
And I'm at disadvantage because I'm poisoned.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
5 still hits.
7. It used to be 8. So
Yeah.
it's 17.
It hits, yeah.
Bam. It's nasty.
Oh,
Or
so that was for
16.
one of them.
One more.
And then the other one would have been 21.
They both hit?
Nice.
Oh. 10 points of damage.
10 points of damage. Okay. As soon as you take the poison from this huge stinger, you, for the first time really using Matthias's cane, the Wayward Soul, you channel the power within it, and you blast the one in front of Ganji. It hits it inside, lets out this skittering noise, and then it rights itself again as it's flying right at Ganji. Monsters 2, that is the kitty cat here. And so...
Oh, little kitty cat.
Little kitty cat. And so, after getting hacked apart by Rhoda, it is going to sink its teeth into you. And that is going to be, hold on one sec, okay. It's going to sink its teeth into you. That is going to, what's your AC again?
Whose?
Your AC.
It's on the back of that card. If you flip it around, it's 18.
Oh, 18. Okay. That does hit you. And so you are going to take...
Me?
Yep, Rodek is. 12 points of piercing damage as it tears its.
Is it a natural weapon, perhaps?
It's a teeth. Yeah.
Okay.
Teeth. However, it does an additional 5 points of acid damage as it sinks its fangs into you, and then Vantage is going to make it, and then it's going to take its 9 tentacles, and it's going to arch back and shoot its tails at both of you to try to grab you. So on Vandris, it is going to miss horribly. Yeah. Vantage is able to dodge out of the way, and Rodek is going to miss even more horribly.
Hey!
After sinking in its tentacles, its tails seem to miss, and I believe that's its turn.
Nice moves, Rodek. You've been picking them up for me, I see.
Don't take all the credit. Matthias taught you half of what you do. So,
Vandris, you're up. Top of the round.
Right,
and Sylvie, you can make a con saving throw again.
Oh, at the end of the round? Or
Yeah, at the end of your turn. So you can make one now.
10.
10, nope. DC's 12. Vandris, you're up.
Alright, I'm going to attack the beast.
Okay.
the beast!
Rolled a 24.
24. Okay, that hits.
Not nearly as good this time. 10, 12, 18.
18 points of damage. Okay.
This is
After it failed at hitting you with any of its tails, it seems a little bit frustrated, and you use that frustration to exploit, get in low, stab it up through the chest. It lets out a yelp.
And then I'd like to disengage, not using my cunning action, using my amazing fancy footwork.
Okay.
Just back up one step.
Con saving throw, however, after that attack. Or a dex saving throw, pardon me.
Oh, even better. Hold on, I can never remember these stupid numbers. I got an 11,
Actually, this might
and
be
my
more.
dex is like a lot.
Yeah, it's fine. You pass.
Oh, yeah,
You
still
dodge
good.
out of the way of the acid.
You know.
19.
As it splashes out, you dodge out of the way. You're gonna step back. You're gonna step back 5 feet with his fancy footwork.
Haha!
Point.
Aha!
Haha. Rodek, you're up.
I would like to hit him with an axe. 2 plus 8 is 10.
I had 10.
Oh, 20.
That hits.
I'm gonna make it. You know what? I'm gonna make it a tripping attack.
Oh.
Strength save.
Oh, okay.
Is that new?
It is new.
It passes.
It passes. Okay. Wow.
22.
Yeah, it passes. I'll roll damage anyway.
Okay.
What is that? 13. 28.
20.
No, sorry, 18.
I was gonna say, Jesus Christ.
And I get a second attack. That hits.
But
19.
you don't
plus
need my
11.
help on that one.
8, 13.
13 damage.
I had a plan, but
Resolve for that.
it was still good damage.
And then you make 2 dex saving throws.
Oh, shit.
Your axe cleaves into the
Why
side,
do I-
rupturing
That's
these
funny.
hideous putrid boils
19.
as acid sprays that.
Pass both.
You pass both. You are able to dodge as this acid spray, and with that, it is looking very wounded. Its tails are kind of dropped, dangling behind it. It is looking rough. Annual, what are you gonna do?
I am going to continue backing away from the bug monster number 2.
Okay.
What's the blobby thing? Is that water?
That's just land. You're on water right now with water walking.
Oh, yeah, we should have
So
explained
yeah, that's water. The blobby stuff is land, like little land patches. My great catfish is right there.
This is allegedly a catfish, and not like a dead baby harp seal or
It's a
something.
dead baby harp. I don't really care. Come on.
Oh no, baby beluga.
Baby.
So he has at least one more fight.
So I'm going to put my hunter's mark on number 2 and fire 2 arrows.
Okay. You channel your hunting power on this beast as it's going after Sylvie.
20.
Wow. Okay. Roll damage. Only Annulin rolls.
Okay. So.
Just you want to roll the second attack too?
The second attack is a 26.
Okay, both hit. Just roll your crit and everything else. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
The crit first. So that is okay. So that'll be 2d6 for Hunter's Mark. He's injured, so that's Colossus, so 48. Is that right?
What was that?
So if I have, so it would be 2d8 for Colossus, so it would be 48, and then it would be 1d6, so 2d6, so 4
Yes.
d8 and 2.
Yeah. So you double Colossus, double Hunter's Mark, or just double the dice. I didn't attack you.
I was wondering if you meant to or
both
not.
hit. So I rolled
Okay.
both of them. I rolled a natural 19. They were. Yeah. Wait. No. They were. 19 plus. Let me just see.
First damage is 28.
How much damage?
First damage is 28.
28. Okay.
And then the second one, which is not the crit, is 1, 2, 3.
Oh, fuck. Kid Icarus, that's what this is. I couldn't remember what the song was. Sorry.
Second damage is 21.
21 damage. Wowie zowie. Okay. You unleash your arrows. You get one, sinks into its eye, lets out this, and then it flutters around. It is looking wounded, but it's still hanging on. It's still doing decently. But I had forgotten to attack Ganji. I did roll while you were doing that. Both hit. So I'm going to just resolve that now. And so the bite is going to go in with a bite attack, and that's going to be 2d6 plus 3. Ooh. 12 points of piercing damage,
Okay.
and you are grappled and restrained.
Okay.
And then it's going to it comes in with its stinger attack and would have advantage, but it hit anyway. And that is going to deal 9 points of piercing damage. Gets in a weak spot in your armor, and I need to make a con saving throw.
That's a lot. That's
Higher than
like
12?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. You feel the poison start to seep in, and you use your resilience in order to force that out. Okay, Ganji, you're up.
Okay. So what can I do when I'm restrained? Can I attack?
Oh, I think you can. Maybe not.
Am I at disadvantage?
Restrained creature is 0 bonus. Is your disadvantage, but you can attack.
Okay, so I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame at it then.
Okay.
Which is a dex saving throw
Okay.
for you.
That's going to be 21.
Well, that passes, so nothing happens.
Okay. You channel a prayer. The platinum light and all is with its jaws around you. You are attempting to aim it, and it whiffs it. Okay. With that,
Maybe I should try to get out.
Mikey, quickly, what would Lumi's spellcasting ability be?
Charisma. With that, its jaws are firmly on Ganji, and all of a sudden you start to see its proboscis kind of move as it starts to work its way, and Ganji slips into its mouth, and he is swallowed whole. You are blind and restrained inside this enormous, and you see this like chitinous pouch open, and Ganji is inside the giant dragonfly.
Pretty gross. I didn't know it could do that.
And acid is starting to eat away at you, but not
yet.
Not yet. Okay.
All
And
right.
with that, it's going to make a bite attack. Actually, after getting so heavily destroyed by Annulin, it's just going to leave Sylvie and just book it towards Annulin. Provoke an opportunity attack if you want to make a attack, Sylvie, with your cane.
No.
Okay.
Just gonna let it go.
Okay, so it flies away from Sylvie, right towards Annulin. Annulin is going to make a bite attack against you. and it's going to horribly miss. And then the stinger is going to come in, and that is going to hit. That is going to be dealing 5 points of piercing damage to you, Annulen, and then can you make a con saving throw for me?
I forgot to ask this. With my Sharky Tooth necklace, do I still make the throw? Because it says like my constitution is 19, so do I still make a throw for that, or?
So your constitution is 19, so you have a +4.
You have a +4 instead of I think a +2 before. So your con mod is now +4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
pretty nasty.
Your saving throws you had +4 because I don't think you're proficient in con saving throws. But your health also goes up.
Oh shit! To what?
To 2 per level. So, what
Is
level are we?
retroactively applied?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So you get 16 extra health, max health.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
you
let
move
me
the tank.
push the-
Also, as an
My
aside,
thing is now.
I can vouch for that, in that the new Diet Cokes are amazing.
They
Everybody's
are
been
so
saying
good.
that. Like
The-
the ginger lime.
The
and,
twisted mango is definitely the best.
uh-huh.
Feisty cherry is pretty good too.
And did you roll
Ginger
that, or are you
lime's a
still
little
editing it?
disappointing, actually.
Sorry.
Oh, really?
I thought I
It just
was
tastes like
getting hit
Diet
points.
Coke
What
with
did you
lime.
say? So it adds
Yes, there you go.
16 to my max hit points?
Yeah. Sylvie, why don't you just go ahead and start your turn while she rolls the con saving throw?
I will do Eldritch Blast again at whatever thing is striking energy inside of it.
So you,
Number 1.
14. That passes.
Um,
That passes. You push the venom out as it
16.
tries to seep in. 16 hits.
Let me make sure I'm doing that right. It was 8 before, and it adds 2 more, right? So it'd be 10 total to hit with my wand, because it used to be +8.
So now it would be
now
plus
it'd
9.
+9. Okay.
Because you had a +1 wand.
So yeah,
before.
yeah.
Oh, you're right.
So
Yeah,
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 so
yeah.
now it's
Yeah,
a
so
+2.
it's a 9. Okay, so 15
15. That's
would be the first
still
one.
hits.
And then the other one would be 14.
14. Both hit. Roll damage.
Okay.
Is it hexed?
No.
Thanks, Chris.
18.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
It's been awesome. How much damage total? 19 or 18?
See you next time.
Sylvie?
Huh?
19 or 18? How much damage?
18.
18. Okay. On number 1. Okay. After it swallows Ganji, it's pretty focused on getting the rest of them inside its stomach. Both, it's not really, it's a much larger target, so both Eldritch Blast hit it in the side. It lets out a roar, but it keeps Ganji in firmly. Okay. Monsters 1. Wait, no. Sylvie, Monsters 2, which is the cat. He is going to once again make that bite attack against Rodek here. And that is going to horribly miss. Once again, the tail.
I'm going to make a riposte attack
Okay.
with my reaction.
Okay.
Oh, that's not good. 13?
Misses. So you, after it lunges and misses, you swing your axe, but it dodges out of the way. 2 tentacle attacks, or tail attacks, one on Rodek. That is going to be a 17. That's going to miss. The other is on Avantris. That is going to be an 8, and that's going to miss. So its tails once again lash out and fail to hit. And that's its turn. Avantris, you're up.
Alrighty, I'm going to advance forward 5 feet and stab it in the face.
Okay.
The old Vandini special, as they call it.
With your fancy
Oh,
footwork.
natural 20, baby.
Yes.
Nice.
This might do the trick, I'm thinking.
This is a lot of die. I'm gonna have to calculate these bad boys. I'm gonna do the D8s first. Alright, so that's 10.
Vandini and meatballs. Somebody touch my Vandine.
43 points of damage.
43 points of damage after Rodek and this cat are having a pissing match, basically failing to hit each other. It's completely distracted. You get into its side and you stab in deep. You can feel your rapier pierce its heart. It lets out this hideous snarling roar as you make a dex saving throw for acid and collapses. It collapses to the ground dead.
Oh, 13.
Nice
13.
try, Nine
That
Tails.
is going to be. Hold on. And it succeeds. You manage to dodge out of the last death spray of its acid. And with that is Rodek's turn.
Okay, so I guess I can clearly see that Ganji's been swallowed whole by this horrible beast.
It's
You
probably
can,
not
you
hard
can
to
clearly
see.
you can clearly see that.
Okay,
Oh,
I am
nice
going
card.
to use my dash action.
Okay.
Holy shit, Ganji! And so I sprint. I can make it to here. And then I'm going to use action surge to attack.
Okay.
My only regret is that this couldn't happen when I was level 9, so I could flame strike it from inside.
That'd be amazing. Ooh, that's no good. Okay, one is a 21,
Hits.
and the other is a 14.
Hits.
Nice. Oh, it's a 7. Okay, I thought it was a 1. It's a double 7, so 14, 24 damage.
Once again, this is a large, kind of bloated target, as it's having to work a lot harder to keep itself flying, with probably the heaviest of the group. Although you might be heavier, you're both wearing plate. And you hack into it bits of its chitinous armor and its scales. You manage to slice off a leg. It is looking weak, but it's still hanging on. Annulin, you're up.
I'm just gonna make 2 attacks on this guy in front of me, so it'll be disadvantaged.
Dang. West Coaster literally knows all of my references. It's not even fair. It's like he knows all my references. Anyway,
The
go ahead.
Cato 9
Sorry.
tails.
Oh man. Okay, so I got a natty 20, but disadvantaged it's a 19. So 29.
Still hits.
Damn.
Pretty solid rolls, though.
It was the top of the round. Should I roll again for
Yes.
poison?
At the end of your turn.
I should do it.
14.
Passes. You push the poison. You feel cured.
Can you see this marker on camera? This is supposed to be Hunter's mark. I don't even
It's
see
pretty
that.
far.
No, I couldn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like it's part of the.
It does, yeah.
The color doesn't
Is
help
it
it.
flat, or is it like 3D?
It's
It's-
flat.
it's-
Or it's
it's
free.
flat.
It's
It's like a
3D a little
green.
bit.
It's
but-
raised, but it's flat. Anyway, Annalyn, what was the damage on that one? To number
16.
16, number 2 or number 1? The one in front of you.
2. The one in front of me, yeah.
16 on number 2. Hold on.
And I'll make
The-
the second attack.
The arrow, you feel like you had another shot at its other eye as you do your arrow is sticking out. It's kind of this goo dripping down, but it manages to jostle your bow out of the way. It still sinks deep into its armor, doing a lot of damage. It is looking weak.
Okay, the second attack. That is going to be 22.
That hits.
That is 15.
15 points of damage. Okay. After it kind of bashed your bow out of the way, you finally pull your bow back around, pull another arrow, find your mark, thunk, it sinks into the other eye, they crisscross, it lets out a shriek, and it falls to the ground dead, leaving just the one that swallowed Ganji alive. Ganji, what are you going to do? You're restrained and blinded.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
The spell Freedom of Movement allows me to spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape from non-magical restraints, such as manacles or a creature that has grappled. Is that applicable to this situation?
Grappled or restrained?
It says non-magical restraints, such as manacles or a creature that has a grapple.
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use that. There's no reason why.
I just want to use it. It's a waste of a spell, but I just want to see what happens when I just use 5 feet of my movement to just like zoop right out of its mouth or something.
That's amazing.
Are you gonna use it?
Yeah, I'm gonna use it.
Okay. It's pitch black. You start to feel the acid, but you do need to take some damage. You need to take. Not that. 11 points of acid damage as you start to feel the acid seeping into your armor from its digestive fluids. Quickly, it's blind, it's dark, it's hot, it's disgusting. You say a quick prayer to Bahamut, and all of a sudden, the inside of it radiates with this platinum light, and all of a sudden, you see and Ganji comes flying out, completely coated in acidic goo, 5 feet in front of this creature.
Okay, and now I attack him, because fuck that.
Okay.
Ganji
Is that a bonus action?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Ganji is done with this shit.
Okay.
9 plus... Is it still 6? 15?
15 hits, yep.
Okay. And that's 4, 8, plus 3 is 11.
11 points of damage, okay?
Ganji the Manji.
After heaving yourself up, completely covered in goo, you grab Malleus Maleficarum. It shines that golden light, and you swing it across its face. You see some bits of its shell fly off into the swamp. It is looking very wounded. Sylvia, you're up. Wait, no. Monster's one's up. It's going to try to bite Ganji again.
Not again.
And it's going to critically fail.
Yeah.
And then the stinger is going to come back around, and that is going to also miss.
Nice.
Okay, Sylvia, you're up.
Okay. I'm going
Not
to
poison.
shoot the same one that I've been
Okay.
shooting.
Number 2 is dead.
So it is going to be 19 for one of the other ones.
Hits.
And then 12 for the other one.
12 misses, but the 19 hits.
13 damage.
How do we do this?
I just want to have one of the arcs just kind of like puff of glitter and he chokes and dies on it.
Oh, what? He chokes and dies on the...
Yeah, on my glitter lamps.
Okay. So after Ganji kind of swings his mace around, or his warhammer around, it almost like destroys the side of its jaw. Its mouth is hanging open, and that's just a perfect spot for you to shoot one of your blasts of glitter lance. And it starts to inhale, and is dust, and it's starting to the flame that used to starts to burn away its eyes and its nostrils. For what you could tell, a bug would have nostrils, and then it just shrivels up and falls
Which
over
one?
and dies. This one, number 1. Yeah, okay, and that's combat.
What about that? This one's still alive, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, that was
Daniel
dead.
killed it.
Oh.
Daniel killed it.
That's my bad then.
Alive, dead.
You did.
Okay.
They actually be more visible if you put them the other way around. With the white tip.
That one? Oh, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
So, with that, you have killed the creature that was lurking and stalking you this whole time. And you are back in trying to find your best way to get out of the combat, or towards the end.
Well, that was fucking gross.
Are you alright?
I've been better, honestly.
Have you ever been swallowed whole before? That's gotta be really weird.
Is there another way you could word that?
No, I don't think so.
That's my fetish.
Isn't there a 10 for that? With like a V or something? Anyway.
We have to get going.
Welcome to my banana.
I gotta go.
I've had enough of this swamp. What time is it?
It's still midday.
Oh man, all that and it's only been midday.
So are we still doing the challenge then to
Yep.
move forward?
We're continuing the challenge.
Okay, so
What's our terrain look like? Is there like a tree that I would like to use my acrobatics to nimbly climb a tree to see how much farther we have to go?
Okay. Yeah, why don't you make an acrobatics? I'm going to set the DC here real quick. Okay.
I'm extremely acrobatic.
So you're going to use your acrobatics to jump from tree to tree to kind of basically give some guidance on where to head.
Yeah, I want to get a good vantage point.
Okay.
You know, take a look at where we're headed.
Yeah. Make an acrobatics check.
16, of course.
16. You are once again channeling your bounty hunter days in the cities, but really just applying the city parkour kind of shit you used to do to hardcore parkour to the trees. You are effortlessly jumping from branch to branch, hopping around, and giving some guidance, allowing your party to move with a much quicker pace. So that's a success. You keep on trudging into the swamp.
Okay, so it seems to me that I can use some magic to get us through this. Like, I'm already using water walking.
Yeah.
I could use control water probably to do something worthwhile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
you use
can
a spell to use an ability and enhance that, and that'll affect the DC.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, can I use that to do an Arcana check?
So just general use of magic?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. We'll say there's basically, you're using control water, the water walking will count as part of that, and I'll set the DC accordingly, and make an Arcana check.
Right. Shit. I can't roll for shit today. It's a 10.
It's a 10. You are being very helpful, but unfortunately, your attempts to control water with this like super stagnant, it kind of gets a little bit gross. Algae kind of gets everywhere, slows you down a little bit. So if we just roll a D4 plus 1. Okay, what else we got, guys?
Sorry, it's a 3. Total.
Okay.
I don't know if it matters.
Bob, you got anything?
I'm
You don't want to do
still
that
trying to figure this out.
You don't want to do that performance thing?
No.
Okay.
I would like to. Jeez, I'm trying to think what I could do for acrobatics.
I have 2 other ideas, but again, my rolls have been shit today, so I kind of feel bad about continuing to try. If someone else has any ideas.
I'm about tapped out here.
I'm going to go behind the group and in my very best drill sergeant voice say, "You lazy sacks of shit! We're getting through this swamp! You're gonna move your asses!" And I'm gonna intimidate them through the swamp.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an intimidation check.
I mean, I'm literally never scared of anything. Can I stab Aniel in the eye?
Go, you can make an attack.
I got 5. I'm all 110 pounds of my healthy body.
Oh
the resulting fit of laughter from the entire party at your attempt to be a drill sergeant and them not taking you seriously at all stalls you a little bit, and you guys take a bit of time. Can you roll 2d4 plus 2, please? And as you are making your way through the swamp, you're starting to notice bits and pieces of stone and bits and pieces as if there's ruins that you're kind of coming across. When you stop to investigate, there really isn't much more than like foundations, if anything, of buildings, but this probably looks like the remnants. And you see bits and pieces of maybe like the remnants of skeletons here and there. But you're not sure how old they are.
Could I use my stone cunning as part of the skill challenge which is a history check?
Yeah. Sure.
To kind of understand, like, I guess how old it is, and if it can tell us anything about sort of who built it, or tell us anything else about the lay of the land, or if there are any clues for like how to maybe best.
How's it going to help you advance through the swamp?
Well, are there any more ruins? Like,
yeah, you could see that.
Yeah, so if I can get an understanding of how it was built, if I can, like, is there a map in the stonework, or like if the stonework is a certain way, like is there a way to like walk on the stone where we could have an easier path, or anything?
Make a history check.
DC 45.
So history check on
setting it.
I rolled a 5 plus. I couldn't hear what you said to add to it for the check you have me do.
Intimidation.
The D4.
The D4.
Oh, D4 plus 1. Or 2D4 plus 2.
Okay, so
Hey, Craft.
that's a 7.
Cool. We're good.
17 plus 6 is what? 23.
23. Miraculously, you all stand in awe as Rodak, who never shuts the fuck up about masonry, is
I just really love masonry, alright? My last name has stone in it.
It's okay. It's your fetish. That's okay.
He literally is getting his loins are tingling a little bit as he sees like ruined masonry, and he's able to actually by judging like what the keystone or like the base of these buildings, he's able to find more flat land of where these buildings would have been built out to help kind of give you a more direct path and kind of going through all of the brush, despite it being overgrown in probably hundreds or even thousands of years. It's still kind of level, and Rodak is able to quicken your pace.
It comes in handy every once in a while.
And at that point, you guys probably have reached the evening, the next evening, and so it's a matter if you want to try to power through, or
do we have any sense of how far we are at all?
You're getting the sense that you're pretty close, given Vandris's acrobatic stuff.
I think we should keep going. What do you guys think?
I'm pretty wounded, honestly, but...
And you did get eaten. You got it. So.
Yeah. But I'll leave it to the party. I'm not in the worst shape.
I prefer to press on.
Well, it depends. Can we, if we sleep... I'm all confused about, like, time of day.
Yeah.
So we're sleeping through the day and we're traveling all night is what we've been doing.
I think ideally we'd get to Gangplank at nighttime.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That seems logical.
If we push through, we'll be tired and we'll arrive at daytime, right?
Most likely.
So, I would say either way, we need to camp overnight. It may make sense to camp if we can get there in the middle of the night. Then we can at least plan an attack or find, at least do some scouting and build a camp nearby that we can kind of use as a home base.
I'm not opposed to attacking under the cover of darkness, of course.
How does it sound?
It sounds alright to me.
Okay.
We can wait it out.
Okay. You take a long rest. And you run a standard watch, and nothing really seems to happen despite that bit of nastiness. And so you wake up 8 hours later. It's probably midday. It's getting closer to dusk. You probably timed it pretty well, depending on how long it takes you to get out. You're getting the sense that you're almost there, though. Just need to push over that last hump.
Meaning that last skill check?
Does anyone else have anything else? I could try my stupid history bullshit, but it's...
I just need a way to use stealth to my advantage, because there's literally no way I can fail if I roll stealth.
Can you
I
not
just have to...
just scout ahead and like stealthily like scope around and see if you can see like animals to avoid and shit?
That's better than what I would have come up with. I literally couldn't think of a single thing to use for stealth. I would like to do that. I would like to stealth ahead of the group and act as a second guide backing up Annulin and her savviness in the forest.
Okay.
So I get advantage on all stealth checks, correct? Or does that count as a stealth skill check?
I would say for this, I would say for this, just roll the straight stealth.
Okay.
Good luck and Godspeed.
Yeah, well, if the DC is like, a billion, I'm in trouble either way. Okay, I'll take a 28 on that one.
Hey! 28. And
DC was 30,
So, in addition, once again, Vandris acts as the scout. He used his stealthy abilities to get into some situations that might be a little dangerous. He actually stealths up near another one of those horrific nine-tailed cat creatures and manages to alert you guys, and you guys avoid another round of combat or another attack like that. And it is basically, you can kind of see the rays of light disappear as night falls over the Cudgelmire, and you hear the lapping, running of a brook, of a river. And as you kind of vanish, lets you know that you've avoided that creature, you see that you come to a large roaring river coursing down from the volcano. And you can see over the course of the trees the rising wooden structures. You see a mast, wooden planks, all hobbled together with ropes. You have arrived at Gangplank.
Ooh.
I guess that's what we'll call the session.
All right.
Okay. Wait, so we can see. Are we still in the swamp? We can see the.
You guys are basically kind of on a river, like a couple minutes from Gangplank.
Okay, so we're like here.
No, you're like probably.
Oh, down
yeah,
here.
you're like right down there.
Okay.
Yeah, you've made it out of the Cudgelmire swamp, and you've arrived at Gangplank.
Across the whole island, guys. We did it.
They said it couldn't be done.
Okay.
You're running out of skills there. That's
I had like a couple more real bullshitty things that I could have tried, but I was already not succeeding on anything, and these were only going to get worse.
The next thing I was gonna try was like yelling at any animals that I saw to keep them away from us.
Go ahead. No, I was going to do history check based on the whole bronze dragonborn naval thing, especially with the structures, the ruins of the structures. I was going to try to like cross-reference that to see if I could like figure out like there was a fort that I heard about that was on this part of the island. And,
that would have been really fun.
Yeah, that was my next try.
Rodek to make him not worry about quicksand.
Yeah, deception on Rodek. So there's no such thing as quicksand, and you're actually just crazy.
Oh, alright, well. Then I'll get rid of this waterlock. And I step into there are no rats, though, of unusual size or whatever.
I was going to do sleight of hand. There was a really big snake that was going to scare everyone. I was going to sleight of hand it away from the path so no one saw it. Actually, that was probably going to be my animal handling one, actually, because that's a little bit better of a modifier.
I was gonna try to animal handle some larger animals to just carry us there, but that seemed really like not gonna.
That would have been cool.
Hey, if you roll really well, even if the DC is high.
What's going on with the map here?
The game is over.
We're shaking the table.
Yeah, the
So
table's
when you
shaking.
I could die happy that way.
Oh, well, I guess we'll call it for the night, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back on Wednesday for Prime, Avantris Prime. This episode, Legend of Avantris, and then we'll be back on Monday for Call of the Feywild. Back to our usual schedule. Hopefully, knock on wood. We'll let you know if there's any changes. If you're hanging out and you liked it and you're not in our Discord, come hang out in our Discord. We like to shit post about Critical Role on Thursday, so we'll be doing that tomorrow, and then we give a lot of updates on Discord. It's the easiest way to communicate with you guys. So please join our Discord. The description's in our channel.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you. Wow, that's amazing.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
You guys are great. I love you guys.
Yeah, seriously, if you're not in the Discord, like he said, just drop us a message. Like somebody will get back to you. You know, we always pop in. I like to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So you know.
It is. I'm a part of like 38 Discords, and it's the only one I have notifications turned on for. So I will see every message in that Discord.
Aww.
Yeah.
I'm right there with him.
It is an obscene amount of Discords that he is.
Really?
Yeah. It's,
I'm literally a member of.
I'm a member of 3 or 4.
4.
I have a billion just because from way back when, like every time I joined a pug raid, I would join the Discord.
I would leave immediately.
And I would always forget to leave their
because they'd be like, "Do 420 smoke weed every day." Okay.
Well, yeah. That was never optional.
Anyway, guys, Rodek, you wanna sign us off?
Thank you
so much. Yeah, really,
Thank
Craft.
you.
You're
Thank
the
you.
man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mizuki, you're still around for the gift to Rabbit. That was really sweet.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. You guys, you're our favorite humans. Leave it open for non-humans who are watching. You can become our favorites.
Oh, but
you're first and only, huh? Well, hopefully it's a good time.
I remember my first. It was awful.
Feels like the first. Okay, anyway.
Okay,
Have a
love
good
you guys.
night. We'll see
Yeah.
you on